Alrighty. So, for those of you watching live or more likely after the fact, welcome to the 30th anniversary screening of GoldenEye. Um, my goodness. Uh, I have never really known a time in the fandom without GoldenEye. So, that certainly kind of feels odd that it's only that old, because to me it feels like it's been around forever. Um, I feel like I've said some of my piece about this film. I'll reiterate just for people interested. We're going to try to make this commentary as interesting to listen to on its own, apart from watching the film. I can't guarantee anything, but we're going to try. So I have two of my buddies here, Paul and Ross, and I'm going to pose the question to you guys. Let's think about our relationship with this movie. Does it mean all that much to you? Is it one of your favorites? How do you remember first hearing or watching the film? Did you have any experience with the video game before? Let's kind of do a little bit of generalness. And let's start with Ross, since we've not had him on the channel before.
Well, first of all, I'm Ross. You might know me from things like my Digimon fanfiction or me guest starring on Red 5478's This Week in College Football. I can't do Troy McClure. I can't do the late oh gosh, what is his name? Oh, who played Troy McClure on The Simpsons and Lionel Hutz?
We're the wrong people to be asking that question to.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not like I grew up watching The Simpsons.
Phil Hartman.
Gareth can always help us there. Hi, Neil. Hi, Gareth. Wow, Neil, that's very generous. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Phil Hartman. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
But back to the question.
Yeah. What does GoldenEye mean to me? Okay. Well, I kind of got into the Bond fandom truly after in between like Quantum of Solace and Skyfall. I can't remember the year exactly. I'm pretty sure I saw GoldenEye, or at least parts of it, on TV at one point before then, but I didn't really think much of it. I was born in the mid 90s, so I never got like a Nintendo 64, so the GoldenEye video game just missed me completely. The closest I ever played was at Agent Under Fire at a friend's house, but I was at least familiar enough to know who James Bond is, but I didn't really watch the movies until that period between the movies. And GoldenEye, it's quintessentially the best one for Pierce Brosnan, and it's in my top 10 of the entire. If listing the order of the films, it's in my top 10 for sure. It's almost in the top 5.
Okay. Well, I know there are some people that don't particularly care for it. I mean, so I got into the franchise, of course, much earlier than you did, but even within your time, you've probably come across more than a handful of people that's like, yeah, no, this isn't Golden. This isn't one of my favorites. This isn't a Golden movie. Like we have in the comments here, I might be butchering it, Dimitro, which is okay. If Boris ruins it for you. In fact, that was actually a conversation in our Discord this week about Alan Cumming and how he kind of ruins the film for some people, but okay. It's what it is. So, Paul, does GoldenEye mean anything to you? Is this just one of those failed pretenders? What do you think?
Well, I can't besmirch the name of this film while I have Pierce here behind me. It is not my favorite of Brosnan's films, but it is very high up there for me. I would say it's a top 5 Bond film for me. I grew up with the franchise. My dad was a big Bond fan when I was a kid, and I saw the films probably too early and started with Roger Moore. But growing up, Pierce Brosnan was my Bond. That was the Bond that I had through the films, the games, a lot of the associated media. And GoldenEye is a film that I understand the criticisms that people have, and I am very much critical of a lot of parts of it, namely the rather terrible score and some of the plot points and some scenes I would cut. But it's a film that I really enjoy, and I think it's a very important one for the franchise. And for me personally, it's an important film. I'm wearing my GoldenEye watch here, and happy to be here.
All right.
You actually are right in terms of what it did for the franchise, because you got to remember this was another one of those make or break times for Bond. Like how The Spy Who Loved Me was kind of make or break for Eon and all that stuff. It's like, if this movie isn't successful, the Bond franchise is dead. Basically.
Well, License to Kill was a flop. It didn't really make a whole lot of money, and
that was a bad summer. That was a stacked summer of '89. Because let's see, what do we have? We had Last Crusade. We had Ghostbusters 2. Batman.
We had Batman.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, but I mean, still, when it comes to,
there's more to it than that.
Yeah, there's more to it than just the competing films. But the point being that there was that big gap, and GoldenEye was a very important film for bringing things back. And I mean, it's great when it comes to the films that kind of save the franchise. I mean, there's half a dozen films that save the franchise at this point, and GoldenEye is one of the better ones.
Yeah, because like Live and Let Die, you could count as one of them. Spy Who Loved Me, you can count as one of them. Casino Royale, you can count as one of them. Like, it happens a lot, unfortunately, where and it's happening right now. This discussion of Bond is dead. He won't ever come back and be in the prominent place that he was. And this time it carries a little more weight because we finally actually had Bond die in an official film. So I think some people are seeing that as a kind of a lightning post of just, this is proof. Bond is dead. We can't resuscitate him. I'm far more optimistic than that. A franchise doesn't run 60 plus years and then just suddenly dies now. That's not likely to happen. But in any event,
after how much money it made before No Time to Die made.
Yeah. However people feel about that film, you got to remember, this is just coming out of COVID. So we hadn't had Spider-Man yet to prove that everybody really is okay with going back to movie theaters. And, $800 million, $700 to $800 million, that's not bad. And especially as far as Bond is concerned, because it's not like Bond consistently breaks the $1 billion mold every time. It's only done that once. And, however the fandom feels very polarized about that film, general audiences really like it. I mean, most of the people that I've talked to outside of the fandom about the film, they all say like, yeah, I liked it. It was great. But in any event, let's go back to GoldenEye, and we'll go ahead and get started with that. If you want to watch it with us, put in your Blu-ray, it's not on 4K yet, dang it. But get it past all the menus, get it to timestamp 0. And then go ahead and get ready to hit play when I say so. The last comment here, the franchise will survive no matter what. It's basically started. Yeah, that's kind of my thing, is just it became a phenomenon in the 60s. And unlike some other things that started in the 60s, the fact that it still has resurgences and it keeps going on this long. And whenever a Bond film comes out, it's a summer or winter thing. Like, people clear their calendars. They're like, okay, we're going to go see Bond. This is going to be great. So let us see what I think the first truly modern Bond film is with GoldenEye. And so,
tell us when to hit play.
Are we all ready? Let's go ahead and hit play right now.
There's the MGM logo.
Mm-hmm. And then mine still has the United Artists logo right afterwards.
Yep. I don't know when year that was supposed to be. Exactly. There's the gun barrel.
Still my favorite of the music tracks for the Brosnan era.
I love the reflection in the barrel. I love the little reflections in the barrel. That's what upped it.
Yeah, this is the first time that we really changed up something major about the gun barrel, and I'm in agreement with most people. You could still use this today. Nobody would mind.
Burbitz has a good point there. GoldenEye does look modern because Richard Maybaum and Maurice Binder both passed away and did not participate in the production.
There is a night and day difference between the production of License to Kill and this film. the budget on GoldenEye wasn't extravagant, really,
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to contemporary films. But like, you look at design, you look at cinematography, everything. It feels like everybody's up their game a bit. And this is coming from somebody that really likes License to Kill.
I would even say that between GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies looks even more modern than GoldenEye does, though. I do think it's
Yeah.
interesting how they do the production value, where I think the latter three Brosnan films kind of look very similar, where GoldenEye still looks kind of old. But it's shot well. It's just,
It may also have something to do with Brosnan still keeping the Remington steel hair.
I don't think so.
True.
I don't. I mean, maybe for the look of Bond, but I'm talking the cinematography.
Yeah, as far as
GoldenEye looks
filmmaking
very
goes.
95. I think Tomorrow Never Dies looks more 2000s in a positive manner.
Yeah, it's funny because like GoldenEye brought Bond into the 90s, but starting from Tomorrow Never Dies, we're already starting to look into the in the 21st century.
Absolutely.
Where was this damn again? Where did they film this?
It's on the border of a country. I think it's.
I'll look it up here.
Yeah, look it
I wanna
up
say
because I know I
Switzerland?
have. Yeah, I think it's Switzerland. And you can actually go to that dam right now and pay a bunch of money and do the jump yourself.
Yeah, quite a few people have in the Bond community have shown that the Contra Dam, which is located over the Veraska River in Switzerland, Ticino, Switzerland.
Yeah, that sounds right. Introducing Bond upside down in a bathroom stall. Probably the least glamorous way we've ever done this.
And Bond lands face first in a dirty ass toilet stall.
In a Soviet dirty toilet stall. I think that makes
No,
it.
I think his hands got wet as soon as he like hit the floor.
I'm remembering some of the CinemaSins jokes here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay,
It's not that I know the trivia as much as I'm very quick with Googling things.
should we quickly mention? Well, let's wait on Eric Serra, at least.
Yeah, we have a specific moment where Paul wants to talk about Eric Serra.
Oh, the
We'll get
famous
to it.
flatulence music.
Yes, we will get to it. But this is one of the few parts where even people that don't like the score generally like what's underneath the pre-titles.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the best part of the film for the score.
And there's Sean Bean.
Someone who very well could have played Bond himself if the dates hadn't have lined up the way they did.
I don't know why he kept ending up getting killed in so many movies. Like, dude, this is Richard Sharp. Why is he getting killed?
Well, it's funny because like he has this stigma that he dies in every film, which of course is obviously not true.
He survived in National Treasure. I know that.
He survived in Percy Jackson. He survived. He's in The Martian. He survived a lot of things. But really, the person who should get that accolade is either Christopher Lee or Michael Biehn. I have yet to see a thing with Michael Biehn where he doesn't die.
Yeah.
I know they're spies, but man, that was brutal.
Now that just felt gratuitous. You're supposed to use that license to kill responsibly there.
Is that the advertising for Heineken these days? License to kill responsibly?
Well, Aliens is the one exception, Neil, but like he also like is dead by the beginning of Alien 3 because like the credits are going over the caskets.
No, you're keep in mind, nothing ever happened after Aliens. That was the last movie in that series.
Right.
There was never anything afterwards.
I have to remember, it's the same rule as Terminator. Nothing happens after T2. My bad.
Wait, watch Salvation. Salvation's worth watching. Everything else, yeah.
Well, I would say Salvation, but now play that recent Terminator first-person shooter game.
Yeah, but citing the fact that there are good things after T2 messes with the millennial mentality of everything sucks after a particular point.
When it comes to any franchise, whether it's something very old like Bond going back to the 50s or something like Aliens or Terminator that goes back to the 70s and 80s, you can certainly do good versions of it, but the issue is that a lot of these directors and movie companies and whatnot, they want to just redo the thing that made money and was popular, which is why a lot of the sequels are just bad. Alien 3 is an example of just musical chairs for every aspect of the film. So here's a question I have for GoldenEye here. So we're at the part where Trevelyan is captured here. This is never set up.
I can answer it.
Yeah, this is never set up. Like is Ourumov supposed to miss? Was this intentionally that he was captured here? They never touch on it in at any point in the film or in the game.
I agree.
And that's one of those little plot holes here that I don't think it breaks anything for me. But this is giving away the goose. My favorite Brosnan film is Tomorrow Never Dies, right?
Yeah.
I can overlook plot holes here, but I don't know.
I think Trevelyan made a deal with Arumov to begin with.
Oh, well, definitely.
We have to assume that, but it's one of those things where we never find out.
Oh, you piece of crap. No, don't do this to me. Oh, dang it. Hang on. Can we pause for a second? The video crashed on me.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'd say just catch up.
Yeah, I'd say just catch up. We'll tell you where we're at when you're ready.
Okay, you blew the gas tanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Now he's freaking out.
I had wondered about that, if he shot a blank, but then the next bullet is real. I don't know enough about guns, and we do have a resident gun expert. Can you shoot a blank and then a whole bunch of real bullets?
Realistically, no. Realistically, you couldn't. In the pistol that he has there, no.
The next bullet he fires, he kills that guard.
Exactly. I like Calvin Dyson's joke where maybe he had two guns and he just had to remember which one was which.
Well, he knew the cinematographer was here, shooting. So when the camera panned away, he switched the guns real quick.
Oh, okay.
Did he just
so Ourumov is actually a showman. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so now are we at the part where all the canisters are falling, and now
we're at the part where Bond is about to get to the motorbike to get to the airplane.
Yeah, where I'm at is he just did the tumble down, and then he's about to run. Everybody opens up.
He's taking cover. He shoots a bunch of guys.
Obscure. The issue with that is that the blank wouldn't have enough energy to cycle the slide on the pistol, especially on a blowback gun like a Makarov.
Okay, there's
we could just say that he missed intentionally.
God, can we admire how awesome this place looks? The airfield and then the building and all that stuff on the top of a mountain.
And you know what's significant about this airfield? They used it in Octopussy.
Is this the airfield from the beginning of the film? What is this from?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
Yeah. This is the same location. Now,
is the horse with the airplane in its butt somewhere on this airfield right now, too?
I'm sure it is.
That's how Ourumov gets to work every day. He takes the horse butt airplane.
Mm-hmm.
John Gott looked like he was having a good time with this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Bond is off the edge. He's flying, and he's not falling.
This, maybe Tomorrow Never Dies, because the Halo jump in that film, I think, is the last time we had B.J. Worth and Jake Lombard on this team. But I know this was B.J. Worth doing this stunt here.
Okay, suspension of disbelief, but this plane should have already crashed into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but as the phrase goes, we have to have something happening in our movie.
Yeah, so, screw physics, because Bond likes to do that a lot.
Screw physics. It's Ace Combat logic.
I'm more concerned about the Jericho siren going off on this random airplane.
Why does every plane that falls have to sound like a Stuka?
That's what people think that they sound like. No, I agree, Granular Spirit. The model work here is fantastic.
Yeah, Derek Meddings, I think his best work is actually Moonraker, but this is pretty close. It's right up there with Superman is one of those things where I'm not thinking about the models at all.
Okay.
Although Superman's a little bit iffy because when you get to the dam at the end of that movie, it looks pretty odd.
Okay, Albert R. Broccoli presents. This was going to be the last film he was going to be a part of before his death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't actively involved in this production.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can I point out about the whole it saying starring Sean Bean? I hate that like the American trailer spoiled it. The credits obviously spoil it. It's just like couldn't you have just paid Sean Bean the amount he deserved for his role, but then have him credited like way towards the end or something?
Well, that's what I would have done.
I
would have had him like after Gottfried John and before Alan Cumming, just to like screw with people.
Well, truth be told, this is one of those things where it's like Terminator 2. Terminator 2, for the initial advertising for that film, they didn't advertise a good and bad Terminator with telling you who was who. It wasn't until the film came out that they had trailers that showed that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the good guy, Robert Patrick was the bad guy. With this, I don't think that it was going to be a shocker that there was going to be some betrayal.
No, because beyond just Bond coming back for the first time in 6 years, and then we have to remember that Bond's reputation was pretty tarnished at this point, where people were questioning even more if this franchise needs to exist at all. Selling it on the back of 007 versus 006 was the major push. So the story might play it as a surprise, but the filmmakers certainly weren't going into it thinking, yeah, everybody's just going to be surprised an hour in when Sean jumps back in.
I love the title sequence. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite good.
Pretty great.
Perfectly represented the fact that it's the Soviet Union has fallen since the last time we saw Bond, and then just, you know.
Yeah. No, I think this is one of the better ones.
Again? Daniel Kleinman?
Daniel Kleinman. This is his first one for the series. Because he got the job because he did the music video for License to Kill for Gladys Knight. And they really liked his work there. So they brought him in for this.
Written by Bono and the
Gladys Knight music video kind of feels like karaoke. Like when you watch that, it looks like what you'd have on a karaoke screen. So it's very 80s.
Well, about this title sequence, I've always said GoldenEye is one of the more thematically rich Bond films, and this destruction of idols post the Cold War, because, okay, so you're doing a Bond film past the Cold War. What are you going to say about that? The fact that Bond, that is the ideal Cold War hero, is able to survive and thrive after such. I hear a lot of people today saying that everything after the Cold War was pretty much inconsequential, that Bond should not have existed after GoldenEye. I'm like, no, you're missing the point of what GoldenEye is about. It's that Bond is timeless enough. He doesn't need to be in the 60s. He doesn't need to be in the 70s or 80s. He can work in just about any time period and still have, because the elements that make Bond awesome are not necessarily tied to the Cold War.
Agreed. I mean, a lot of the great Bond adventures had nothing to do with the Cold War.
Indeed.
And I think we're at the part of the film that we were alluding to earlier with the Eric Serra soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the fart music.
As I call it, the fart music. Eric Serra, as a composer, I don't think is very good. And especially if you're familiar with any of the films that Eric Serra composed, Leon the Professional came out the year before this, and he just took that soundtrack and added some Bondiness to it for this.
He did.
I don't think it's much of a harsh thing to say that this is one of the worst scores in the entire official Eon series. It's pretty bad.
I know that's not an unpopular opinion. Sorry, Ross. You keep wanting to say something. We keep talking over you. What are you going to say, buddy?
We kind of skipped over the fact that Tina Turner was singing GoldenEye. We kind of skipped that.
Yes.
Written by Bono and The Edge, which, by the way, speaking of which, I know it's a little unpopular. I liked what The Edge did for the Batman theme and the cartoon in the mid-2000s.
That took me a little while to get used to. Specifically because him saying Batman at the end of the title was something that always didn't quite work with me.
Nice to know you know that show, though, Steven.
I do. My fourth video for the channel was a Batman Films ranking. I am very familiar with that character. And I'm actually in the process right now. I'm working on a couple of different videos, but one of the next ones will be a Batman thing, and I'm prepping for that.
Okay. I'll talk after we're done. There's something I want to mention to you about that show that's related to me personally on that, but it's unrelated for GoldenEye. But no, Tina Turner, she did a great job. Have any of you heard the original version that Ace of Base was supposed to do, the original GoldenEye one?
Yes, I prefer that personally.
Yeah, which got retitled to The Juvenile.
Yep.
Yeah, like 7 years later in like 2002 or something.
Yeah. I mean, Radiohead released their version of what Spectre was supposed to be independently from that film's release, and I don't agree with everybody that it's better. But then again, I have no taste, so
We have our director cameo here with
yep.
Martin Campbell.
Which he also cameos in Casino Royale as well,
Yes.
in a fun way.
My favorite thing is that whenever we watch a newer one of these films, and we just say that every time we see an old person, it's Michael G. Wilson.
Yep.
There was your obvious Tour de France joke, I guess, right there.
Yep. Obscure Media, you are right. I did watch that commentary when I was about ready to do this review, and they did have a thing about the soundtrack. And Martin Campbell has afterwards continued to say, we didn't have a lot of money. This is who we got. He was the hot new guy here. And he and I clashed on certain things, particularly the tank chase was where they clashed the most. And I think it's the most evident where they decided not to go with what Sarah had in mind. And I mean, that track is fine, but I've listened to it with the film. I prefer the newer version.
I'm kind of torn on that one. I maybe it's just because I'm not as big on the whole like this is the worst soundtrack. It's like it's fine. It's definitely if you put a gun to my head and then ordered me to rank this would be pretty low because it's like, well, it's not going to beat anything from like John Barry or David Arnold, obviously.
No. No, to me it goes Never Say Never Again is the absolute worst soundtrack I have ever heard for a Bond thing. And then Dr. No gets put down by default because it sounds nothing like the rest of the series. I think it's so dated. And then GoldenEye's somewhere near there. It's been a while since I've looked back at my soundtracks ranking video, but I know I had it towards the bottom.
Okay, so where are we again? This is Monaco, right?
Monte Carlo, yep.
Yes, Monte Carlo.
Where's Taz and Dale Earnhardt?
Right.
The Chevy Monte Carlo.
Obscure Media. So La La Land Records is continuing to do all of their expanded soundtracks. And, for the last 2 weeks, I've listened to nothing but Honor Majesty's Secret Service in the car. If they ever did one of Never Say Never Again, that would be the one where I'd actually hesitate about spending the $30 to get the thing, because I just don't like it.
Oh, there's a fun trivia thing that I want to mention. Some woman won a contest for a License to Kill or something to be in a Bond movie, but it had been 6 years and all that stuff. But then they managed to get her in the movie somewhere here.
She's one of the extras in the back drinking all the martinis.
Yeah.
Which another piece of trivia. So one of the ladies in the back, apparently her mom was an extra in the scene with Connery and in his case and in Dr. No when they did the introductory line, because Pierce was really nervous because he knew this was the first time he gets to say this iconic line. And so he's practicing a whole bunch of time in the mirror and whatnot. And he was talking to this extra who shared a story that because her mom was on the set of Dr. No for that particular scene, just being very candid about it is that Sean didn't do a whole bunch of takes from the thing because the line is in the books. So it was not an invention for the film, and Connery didn't think anything of it and just said it. And I think that's the best way to do it. Just say it.
Famke Janssen. Okay, you guys have watched the X-Men movies because the only one I saw was X3, and that was with riff tracks.
I am familiar with all the X-Men movies. Yeah, not my favorite superhero franchise, but sure.
Yeah, she was Jean Grey, if I recall right.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. It's funny.
But she's. Go ahead.
We got Jean Grey and Nightcrawler in this movie.
That did occur to me.
We also have James Bond in this film. I don't know if y'all knew that.
Is that who he's playing? Okay.
I think so.
I thought Remington just ditched Zephany Zimbalist at some point and just went off on his own.
Oh, no. This is the new boy toy from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. He was in Mrs. Doubtfire. I keep forgetting that.
I love watching Pierce just try not to react to Robin Williams throughout that whole movie. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's great. I mean, that's a film that has great chemistry. I think Pierce. I'm very happy that Pierce is kind of having a return to form to acting these days because when it comes to Bond actors, I think he was one of the best of actually being an actor in the craft of acting. So it's very handy for that.
Same with Timothy Dalton.
Yeah,
Dalton had,
Timmy's done a good job since the last Bond film he was in.
I have to say Timothy Dalton should have done more comedies though, because he's great in Hot
Oh,
Fuzz.
yeah.
Well, I think his theater acting chops really play a good part for good comedy.
My workforce.
Talking soundtrack and scores, I will say that GoldenEye is fairly weak, and the director and producers may have said, "Hey, this is the best we could get." I think you probably could have done better, but also, is it the worst soundtrack in this series? No. Is it very, very low? Yes. Did they do better after this? Very much so.
Okay. I don't even think it's the worst soundtrack attached to a project named GoldenEye. I think the reboot game with Daniel Craig, I think that's a pretty bland soundtrack.
Well, I think bland is worse than bad.
True.
And this soundtrack is it has bad, but it also has mostly bland. I think I can't stand most of it just because it's so boring and dull. There's not a whole lot of fun in this soundtrack or intrigue.
And the Admiral's Canadian, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know, but he's out of breath. That's all I know.
Yes.
We'll see that in a second.
But to say the last thing on the soundtrack thing, so the sad thing about that video game, which, I play as GoldenEye Reloaded, it's credited to David Arnold, but it's not. He just did a couple of things for it, but the bulk of the music is Kevin Kiner, who Star Wars fans should know very well at this point, since he's the regular composer they bring on a lot of their animated shows. Like he did the Clone Wars, he did Rebels, and Kevin Kiner's done a whole bunch of things before, and I certainly knew him from before. But he does the music for that, and he does the music for 007 Legends, and both of the times they're a miss.
The less we say about 007 Legends, the better.
That's the one more modern game I have yet to play, and it's because I can't convince myself to spend $15, $20 to go find it.
Should we mention that Xenia kind of seems like a Fatima Blush from Never Say Never Again had a kind of an influence here?
I'm going to zip my lips on that because I'm currently working on a video where I talk about that, but yes.
I don't know if that character is an influence as much as that archetype, that general archetype is an influence.
It's just a major coincidence because that film not only has Fatima, but it also has a laser watch, which helps to get Bond out of a sticky situation. So, there's an odd couple
This
of
is the sticky
similarities here.
situation.
Sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, Q Branch didn't give me the laser watch version. Mine just tells the time sometimes. At least twice a day.
Granular Spirit. Yep, she is on the perfect mate. And it's always funny to me to bring that up to my wife. And just, Famke Janssen courted Patrick Stewart for an episode. She's like, oh, gross.
Yeah, because she was young there, wasn't she?
TNG ended the year before this came out, and I think Perfect Mate is season 4, so it was a few years before this. Yeah,
she was in her 20s then, was it? How old is she in this movie? I forget how.
She's in her late 20s by here. She's not that old.
So now I'm feeling old because Steven, you and I are older than she is in this film.
Oh yeah.
Okay, quick.
No, it does screw with me. It does screw with me because I'm 32 this year, 33 next year. Sean was 32 when he did Dr. No. And I don't look anything like the kind of masculine chiseled image of Connery, but nobody does.
Same.
Famke Janssen was 31 when the film came out, so 30 when they filmed it.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
It's just
she was a little younger.
Seeing this and then seeing her in X-Men, it's just Jean Grey. She seems a little old to be Jean Grey. You think Jean Grey would be someone more youthful, teenager or like.
I mean,
Well,
say that, but
that-
my idea of the X-Men is the Slavic X-Men joke video from 15 years ago, where it's
Oh, right.
old babushka is Jingre.
No, but Ross, the mentality behind the first X-Men film was that Jean and Cyclops were part of like that first class of people. Obviously, that doesn't work with how screwed up the X-Men timeline comes afterwards, but when they were making that film, they were supposed to be a generation apart from Rogue and Iceman and the rest of them starting to come in.
The closest
Which I know for
experience-
traditional X-Men fans, that's really odd, but since I don't have much nostalgia for that property, it makes no never mind to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the closest connection I have with X-Men was like the X-Men Evolution show from like the cartoon from the early 2000s.
No, I did watch some of the original X-Men series pretty close to when it came out, but I was born in '93, so at the tail end of the '90s, I was watching TV a lot more, and so I caught some classic superhero stuff. I say classic in quotes because my classic is Justice League, which is 1999, 2000, 2001, somewhere around there.
I would have said she should have had a silencer because they're like, yeah, now the whole ship is alerted and somebody fired off a gun.
Since when has Zenda cared about subtle?
Everybody is topside. I'm fine with excusing that.
I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay, what's the name of this helicopter in real life?
This is a Eurocopter Tiger, I believe is what it is.
They call it the Tiger in the film, and it's there painted on the side of the copter.
Let me look this up here. No, it is a Eurocopter Tiger. Yeah, they just use the actual name for it.
How exactly does it become? How exactly do you make something EMP proof? I don't know how that truly works.
It's called, as Albert Broccoli would say, it's not science fiction. It's science fact. This is science fiction. EMP proofing engines, especially in the '90s, that was not happening.
Well, okay, so I'm
going to
interrupt
this movie to bring you sled dogs.
Right, snow dogs.
Where's Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Right. Oh,
Get
please
Snow
no.
Dogs phase.
Please no. But to throw the series a bone a little bit, because we have always maintained that the first 20 films are in a very loose continuity. It's not the year that it was made, but whatever. Remember, just 3 films ago in A View to a Kill, that was the whole thing, is that we finally had a microchip that could withstand EMP pulses. So maybe Orima, well, they didn't manufacture it, but maybe the French government actually still likes buying things from Zorin. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, we did have a good chunk of that film in France.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that they installed those tacky sharper image glasses into the visors on the helicopter to see through the polarizing?
It's standard procedure. We're going to have it.
We have to have the sharper image credit cards to jimmy open the windows on the helicopter.
Okay, so yeah, in the last couple of weeks, I've become very aware of this backlash that Alan Cumming has had. Not so much because of recent events, but just some people really don't like this character. And I guess I can kind of see where people are coming from. He's over the top, but then again, we've had 16 films where people were over the top. If you can accept Wayne Newton in a Bond film, why not this?
I think when it comes to characters like this, there are significantly less enjoyable characters in the series than Alan Cumming here.
Or Stephen Burkhoff going full ham.
Which, yeah, I will always accept Stephen Burkhoff going full ham because he doesn't do anything else.
It's been a while since I saw Beverly Hills Cop. Was he a little more subtle in that movie at times?
A little. But I think the subtlest he was in was Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which ironically starred Daniel Craig there.
Oh, I need to get my... Where's mine? I'm missing something very important, speaking of this film.
We know the password is chair, but you can sit on it, but you can't take it with you. It's like, yeah, you can take chairs. You ever own a lawn chair?
That always confused me as a kid. Like, I didn't get the innuendo, but I was like, You can take a chair with you. What's going on here? How long did you say the fuse was?
We'll get to these in a second, but I always forget because there are certain Bond prop type things that you can actually just buy and use as their intended purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to remember which one of these 3 or 4 that I have is the hand grenade.
Oh God,
Oh dear.
this stream's gonna get dark.
No, I went to a thrift store at one point, and I actually found a cigarette case that pulled up into binoculars like living daylights, and I don't know why I didn't buy it.
It's a good question.
Neil, I always have to wonder about that because obviously, like, I am too young to have experienced Bond in his prime. The first Bond film I ever saw in theaters was Casino Royale, and I have been dying to see one of the first 20 in theaters because I've always wanted to have that kind of experience. But I definitely think there's a lot of that. And I mean, this fandom is completely guilty of generational bias. I am, very much so. There's a reason that Pierce is my favorite, although I didn't get into the Bond fandom until after Pierce was gone. But there's definitely something to do with that. I had a good friend of mine over a few weeks ago, and his favorite was Sean Connery, but he was alive during the 60s and remembers talking to elementary school kids about like how Bond talked his way out of a laser groin sequence.
And I will say that talking about GoldenEye, the comedic elements in this are still totally in line with the film. License to Kill is a film that I've been pretty vocal about how the tonal issues with that movie do hurt it for me, with Chinese ninjas ambushing Bond and things of that nature.
Oh yeah.
I'm willing to
narcotic
take
bastard.
Alan Cumming being a goofball in this film. I think it works great for considering that every other character is quite serious for most of the movie. I'm happy to have it in the film.
It is true. If you think about the movies that we had around this same time, Batman Forever just lit up the box office a few months before this, and that was definitely lighter in tone. You had Independence Day, which came out the year after. Twister certainly has an element of comedy to it.
I love that movie.
Mm-hmm. Like there was the kind of this tonal shift from we've had the 80s be grim with a lot of anti-heroes, and even into the early 90s that was still prevalent. So coming into the mid 90s, we were like, yeah, let's lighten up a bit. Things aren't that bad.
Well, that's the thing, is that I think that if we didn't have some sort of comedic elements that were worked well into the film, we have a scene right here where we have a lady who has executed 36 people. Right?
Look at Arumov's face. He's just like, Trevelyan, what the freak have you given me?
Yeah. But to be fair, I have never known a Bond film that went so completely seriously that there wasn't like at least a couple of things where they were trying to bring a little levity into it. Even Quantum of Solace, which is a movie I think thrives on its broodiness, even it has a few bits where people can be like, okay, yeah, I see what you're going from. Like the character of Elvis was never meant to be a serious thing. I just think it's a pointless character because he doesn't even do his job well in bringing levity to that film. He's just weird.
He's wearing a very bad toupee.
He is, but like,
that's one bad hat,
what? You blink and you miss it in that film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Neil, I absolutely agree.
What the freak was with the Earth there?
Don't worry about it.
I'm convinced they used the same model from Moonraker and just moved it here.
Yeah.
But Neil, you're absolutely right. Because Paul and I went to go see Superman together. It was my second time seeing it. And while I don't mind the grim and gritty, I mean, we talked about Batman once during this already. And, my favorite of his films is The Dark Knight, Under the Red Hood. So, like, I appreciate that stuff. But, like, every so often, I need duly deputized agent of the law 60s Batman. Every so often, I was never a fan of the Zack Snyder take on Superman, more just personal preference than anything else. But like, I was so ready for an optimistic Superman. I'm finally glad that I got that.
Elvis does fall down that staircase pretty good. I will say that.
I believe he fell down the staircase.
We kind of rushed past this mention when you said Batman Forever. Remember, the reason Batman Forever exists is because like the whole corporate backlash to Batman Returns of just like McDonald's, like McDonald's is advertising this film, like, oh my god, we can't let kids see this.
Penguin bites a person's nose off. I mean, Penguin got his nose bit in the '66 show, so how is that any different?
I don't think there was blood there, though. I don't think it was blood. And
but it was a baby biting his nose when he ran for mayor, I think.
I'm the trash man. I eat garbage and I throw the cans. Up here's Samantha Bond as Moneypenny.
Probably the most appropriate casting based on a last name.
She was a big fan of bird watching.
I'm also half convinced that the reason that Mark Webb got the Spider-Man movies was because of his last name.
Well, it's why Liam Neeson's in the new Naked Gun film, is because his name, Liam Neeson, Leslie Nelson, close enough.
Sure.
You know.
Although I've heard a lot of good things about that film.
Oh, no.
I hope it's good, as a fan of the originals in the show. But that's not about Bond here. This is like very high tech and very goofy at the same time. Well, GoldenEye has a lot of that. Kind of feels like they spliced together a bunch of 90s techno stuff onto here's a building from like the 70s.
Well, GoldenEye's got some goofy stuff in the new Naked Gun. Like they're shutting down police squad, so they have a Spirit Halloween banner hanging up. or the joke of the characters are seeing like their portrait, their like memorials of their fathers, like Frank Drebin, George Kennedy's character, and then obviously the one that's O.J. Simpson. The guy looks at the camera. It's like, yeah, we know.
Well, we haven't seen that film yet, so thanks for spoiling the joke.
It was in the trailer.
It's in the
trailer. Neil, I'll post at the end here, but I do have a channel, but I mostly cover stuff that is not really related to media or Bond. But I'd be happy to link that once we get through to the end.
And Ross and I are actually going to collaborate on something in the near future. Talking about Bond. It's a little bit of an expansion to a previous one that I did, but it was Ross's idea. So I'm excited to
there's Michael G. Wilson.
And tackle it.
I just saw Michael G. Wilson.
That's not his
Judi
cameo.
That is a Michael G. Wilson behind.
That is not his cameo.
That's just some guy.
His cameo is in the Michigan boardroom,
and
they have a specific shot where he looks up to Orumov going off in his thing. That's his cameo there. But like, there's a couple of times where you think you see him just because glasses, facial hair. It all looks the same, doesn't it?
Okay, can we quickly mention, because this was something I wanted to mention for a while when this comes up. Bill Tanner here. I really like Rory Kinner as Bill Tanner because it's like in the Craig stuff, because it's just like it's one of those connections. It's just like he keeps showing up. He's a prominent member of the main set of cast. Like the villains change and all that stuff, but then like you have the main set of cast members that's just like all the same usually. And I, did we know what exactly he was doing that he couldn't show up in Tomorrow Never Dies?
It was a scheduling conflict. Michael Kitchen had another project.
Yeah, do we know what that project was though?
Probably some TV show.
No.
I haven't actually looked into it myself. I just figured, because my wife loves a lot of British dramas, I figure at some point I will see the thing he showed up in instead of GoldenEye. Instead of Tomorrow Never Dies, excuse me.
The Imitation Game has been showing up on my my YouTube reels, like clips from that movie, and which has Charles Dance, who was in For Your Eyes Only. But Rory Kinner's in that movie as the guy that's interrogating Alan Turing when he's been arrested, and before they essentially out him as a homosexual and all that stuff. He's worse than a Soviet spy. He's gay.
I really love the score for that movie by Desplat. I think it's excellent.
They blew half their budget on these explosions.
So here's a question. We've had a lot of films in the Bond series where we have had the female lead have some sort of big traumatic thing happen. Is this like the most over the top that they did in the entire series? Aside from maybe like No Time to Die?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Because I mean, if you think about it, we go back. We've got.
I'm going to make
License
a case
to Kill can be a little aggressive.
Sure, but I am going to make a case for the off-screen mentioning of what happened to Tracy to get her into the depressed scenario, because like it's bad.
Sure.
But like on screen, yeah, this is pretty big.
Yeah.
Great model work right here.
Oh yeah.
This film has fantastic model work all the way through.
I am so sad that Derek Meddings passed away after this, and so we couldn't get great model work in the rest of the. I mean, Brosnan Films actually has a fairly good track record with some of their models, like the Caviar Factory in The World's Not Enough. That's a model. I have actually seen that model in person. It's astounding work.
I was never a fan of that scene, even when I was younger. You can throw stones at me now. You can throw Rotten Tomatoes and stones at me now.
Free market economy is going to be the end of you.
Oh god! Oh god!
World's Not Enough is a film where a lot of the action does nothing for me, aside from the opening.
Who was the guy with the gold teeth in that movie? He was like some prominent.
Goldie.
Yeah, he was like
that's his name.
Yeah, he was like prominent in like in UK in the 90s.
He was like a rapper.
Yeah.
Same with like the two guys that were carjack. Well, not carjacking. The cops that were writing the ticket and they had the boots on the car that get splashed with the water. That they were apparently.
Thank you, Calvin, for pointing that out. I never would have known that.
I know. It's just like, wait, that was a thing? Huh.
Yep. And I thought I knew some obscure Bond trivia. That was one of the most obscure I think I've ever come across.
Again, it's just one of those things like you would never know unless you were British in that time.
Yeah.
I hate it when this happens to me at work. I go and get a coffee, someone comes in and machine guns all of my coworkers. I hide in the ductwork.
That happen a lot to you?
Every so often.
Room? Yeah.
I go to get the non-dairy creamer. We're all out, but thankfully, I was hiding in the break room. This film, I think GoldenEye does have some juxtaposition that's a little bit... I like it where it's tonally dark and it has that humor where it doesn't work for me in a lot of the other Bond films, where they try to do something really dark and then have some levity. I think the levity in this film is earned a lot more than it is in a lot of the other Bond films that try to do the same thing.
I think the best Bond films are able to have that tongue-in-cheek spirit throughout the whole thing. There's a Terrence Young mentality that I talk about occasionally, which is treat the adventures lightly, but take the danger seriously. Mm-hmm. And that is something this film does very well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, at the core of it, the entire overarching plot of this film is that we want to use this space laser machine to go rob a bank. is kind of the core of the film. But there's a lot more that happens as part of that, which I can enjoy.
This is a trope that I'm okay with in the 90s, but like I feel like every film ever since this, whenever they say EMP, somebody has to explain what that is.
Yeah.
And what that stands for, and it like really ticks me off. It's a pet peeve.
Well, part of it too is that the idea of an EMP has been known since the 50s because setting off nuclear weapons generates that field. So I think this is obviously it's a thing that they wrote in there for the audience. But still, I am happy when they start to treat the audience like they understand what's happening a little bit better.
I think it works better, though, at this time because it was just like of how interconnected electronically everything has become by the 90s and all that stuff. And the idea of just like, oh, somebody fires off a nuke. You don't even need to worry about like the city being destroyed. They just launch it in the air and then everything's fried.
Which, again, that's a thing that's exploited in several 80s works. The possibility of that. I don't know why Batman keeps coming up. Maybe just because it's on my mind. But Dark Knight Returns. Part of the climax of that story is the Russians launch a nuke, and the United States gets completely blacked out electronically, and Batman saves the day by being a vigilante and bringing Gotham to order on a horseback
via martial law.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. But like when there is no law, martial law is the best thing to go around, and. I mean, that's what Frank Miller likes to write, so whatever.
Frank Miller, man. I'm not going to talk about it, but dude, that guy's messed up.
It's sad because Dark Knight Returns is actually my very favorite Batman story, but I am not blind to him or Alan Moore or Grant Morrison or a bunch of those guys' problems and some of the things that they write. Though Grant Morrison gets a little bit of a pass from me, but recently, nah.
Meanwhile, Tom Visech gets his stuff completely copied and
Yeah.
remade into the Rise of Skywalker.
Well, yeah.
Well, maybe that's why I kind of like that movie, because like I liked Dark Empire. I would have taken the World Devastators over the Star Destroyers to have eclipse like super lasers, or at the very least, if you're gonna do a Star Destroyer with a super laser, make it the Eclipse, make it a Super Star Destroyer. You know.
Sometime towards the end of the year, I will get into the sequel trilogy films, and I will start to list my problems with that.
So this was an interesting concept because we have the idea of what continuity is with this series. This M and then the one we see in the Craig era are actually completely different ones.
Yes. They have, not only do they have different names that are never really said on screen, but Judi Dench actually plays them very differently to each other. In a subtler kind of way, but like Craig's M has a different slant to her.
She's the old spy
one,
master.
yeah, whereas this one, she comes in as one of those, like, worked her way up through the ranks in administrative duties.
She's a civilian.
Yeah,
she was a civil appointment because this was a thing like John Major at the time had done. He pointed the head of like MI5 or something, was this woman that had nothing to do with military intelligence or anything like that. Or something. It was something. It was a deal, and then that it was something about that. If I recall.
I do enjoy the very playful M that we get in the later Brosnan films. I get that a lot of people don't enjoy how the overtones go for a lot of it, but I enjoy it.
Well, starting from Tomorrow Never Dies, instead of criticizing him for his sexist, misogynist ways, you get
use
for
it.
information.
Yeah. She's like, look, I don't approve of it, but if it works, it freaking works. Use it.
Look, I really enjoy GoldenEye. It's a fantastic film, but Tomorrow Never Dies just has so much there that I really do. That's why I prefer it.
Because, like, I really feel as though GoldenEye, when you look at all of Brosnan's films, GoldenEye is the one that sticks out the most, and it has very little to do with the quality of the movie. It just has to do with the feel, the mentality. It just feels like a different thing.
I'm trying to remember. Did Russia have St. Petersburg as the capital for a few years post-Soviet Union collapse?
I'd have to look into that. Knowing Joseph Stalin, I would imagine probably not.
No.
Let's take a look here.
No, it was Moscow was the capital for a long time, but then like I could have sworn like they briefly the Russian Federation had St. Petersburg as the capital before they moved back to Moscow again. Before Putin took over and all that stuff. There's Michael G. Wilson, but
yep.
Again, this was a case of just the fact that this should have been John Rhys Davies.
Well, they asked him back for License to Kill, but he felt like he couldn't really contribute all that much there, so they wrote it out.
I can't see how that would have pushed him.
Yeah, it's forcing in the Russians yet another time into a story that they really have nothing to do with. And here, I am of the opinion this should have been Pushkin. But at this point, I'm just so used to, like, the Bond series just can't bring back people that they intend to. Because they intended to bring back Michelle Yeoh. They intended to have something else for Jinx. And even before this, Gogol was supposed to be the major character in Daylights. And Anya Masova was supposed to be back in A View to Kill. Like, they keep setting these things up, and they can never follow through on them because of one thing or another. So I'm just used to it at this point, that just, unless you're an MI6 regular, you're not getting brought back.
Hey, but they brought back the guy who drinks the wine and looks confused. That's the important
That's because they kept shooting 3 films in Italy.
Yeah.
And he was the Italian location manager, so he just ended up being in all 3 of them.
St. Petersburg was the capital of the Russian Empire prior to the Soviet takeover in 1918.
Right.
It became Leningrad, but then Moscow became...
The Romanovs were based in St. Petersburg.
So Moscow became the capital after the Soviets took over.
Yeah, but why on earth are we in St. Petersburg? That's the thing.
Because it's one of the biggest cities in Europe. Why not?
Desmond Llewellyn back as Q, which again, that's kind of crazy. Because here's the thing,
Almost everybody got recast except Desmond Llewellyn, because you're an idiot if you don't bring back Desmond Llewellyn for this.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I liked Samantha Bond, but it's like, man, I wish Caroline Bliss had been Moneypenny longer, though. You know?
She just never really got a chance to make an impression. So I don't know if she would have been great or not. No, at some point I will do a Moneypenny ranking video, and I would be very surprised if she's not in last place, because controversially, I do include the unofficial films in my rankings. And I never say never again. Moneypenny's pretty bad, but the Moneypenny's daughter in Casino Royale 67, I think she's a hoot.
I could have sworn I saw Samantha Bond in a freaking Hallmark movie or something recently.
You got to pay the bills somehow.
I know.
Groceries ain't buying themselves.
Oh no! Wait, am I thinking of? No, I am thinking of Samantha Bond. I'm also thinking of the woman that played the woman that was trying to the gold digger that was trying to marry Dennis Quaid in the Parent Trap. That woman. She was also in a Hallmark movie.
See, when you guys say the Parent Trap, I think of Haley Mills back in the 60s, because my dad made me grow up on the Disney movies of the 50s and 60s.
Oh, God, did you see the Shaggy Dog? Or the Shaggy DA?
Yep.
It's a guy in a suit that punches.
Yep.
I swear
it was gold then, and it's gold now.
The guy my dad's punched.
My dad's favorite was Blackbeard's Ghost, with Peter Ustinov and Dean Jones, and oh my gosh!
I swear, the guy that gets punched when the dog turns into a guy in a dog costume for a brief moment, I swear that's Sterling Holloway, the guy that was voicing Winnie the Pooh at the time.
Wouldn't surprise me.
You know, I can't imagine working in the Q lab as portrayed in these films. Either it's a great job, or you just have crazy people exploding things near you.
Poor
you come home and your eyebrows
Poor
are going,
woman just like
fingers.
Goes back.
Q Branch breaks so many OSHA violations.
It's my lunch. like this bit of score here is really not very good. Like I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, I don't like this.
Okay, so Joe Don Baker's back, and again, this is kind of a funny recurring trend of, like, basically you have a person that's in one movie and then you take a break. I mean, they're not in the next one, but then the one after that they're back. That's the same thing that happened to Charles Gray.
And you either start out a villain and become a good guy, or vice versa.
Yeah.
See, and of course, when it comes to CIA agents in the Bond series, we don't have very many good ones. Which is why I'm dressed here as a certain Wade, as a certain Jack Wade. So
I wish we had gotten Joe Don Baker as Wade in more of these, but
no, I don't think that there would have been a use for him in anything past Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies. It's not even. He doesn't even get anything to do.
He's just there because it bridges it to GoldenEye, really.
And the Halo jump is U.S. stuff, so.
Well, yeah, but I mean that could have been written to be anything.
I actually have thought of ideas of how would it fix Die Another Day. You can have Baker back as Wade in Die Another Day, as basically picking up Bond after the incident in Cuba before Bond gets back to London. He's basically, you know how like a Bond gets to Cuba with the passport and all that stuff with Chang and all that stuff?
Yeah.
He gets back into London through Wade and the CIA. It's like, Jimmy boy, you know they got a price on your head back in London, right?
Look. We could have a discussion on how to work on fixing Die Another Day, but the answer is the director, the editor, and
the director
part of the
script
script writing. Yeah, Lee Tamahori is not the choice there.
That's part of the reason why I'm a little bummed we didn't. The viewers didn't pick Die Another.
Hey, for how rough that film is, it's a very fun time. Of the bad Bond films, I think it's probably the most enjoyable of the ones that are kind of down near the bottom.
It is the worst to me, but at the very least, it's just like, well, it's not boring or terrible. It's not like, I mean, it's bad, but it's just like you're watching. It's just like it's enjoyable enough to turn your brain off. But as a fan,
it's lower than A View to a Kill for you. That one is the definition of boring.
I think it's
Never Say Never Again is the definition.
Well,
of boring.
but if we're talking the official films,
official.
though,
We're talking official.
I mean, I would Never Say Never Again is a film that I never want to watch it ever again. That's that, you know.
I love the jalopy car,
which is great. She's lagging a little bit, but she gets to there. Really, I feel like I'd be able to get there faster if I walked.
Oh, jeez.
This is one of those things that if they did GoldenEye again now, it's like this scene would not exist because computer stores like this do not exist.
Especially IBM.
The equivalent would be like somebody going into a Mac repair shop right now, and like that would just feel so out of place.
Well, you sneak into a Best Buy to hop on an iPad. Like
Dave Russell's got a point. First half of Die Another Day. No, I say first quarter. 1 or 2 changes in the first quarter is like the best out of the entire franchise.
I've always submitted that it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think generally the first half is better, but there are things in the first half I really don't like. And there are things in the second half I really do like. Yeah. But I would agree. Generally, the tipping point is when you go to Iceland, it really starts to go downhill.
I'm conflicted on that. I think that film, especially if you put a couple of adult beverages in you, Die Another Day is a very enjoyable experience.
Well, I always watch Bond films sober myself, so
the tipping point for me on Die Another Day is when Jinx shows up. It's like when she starts doing the dialogue with Bond, it's like, oh boy, I think we're having some problems. And then when he goes into the gin clinic, it's like, okay, now we've officially jumped the shark.
Yep. She is one of the elements that whenever somebody talks about the first half, I'm like, Jinx.
I don't hate her. I don't like her, but I don't hate the character.
It's her dialogue, because I know Halle Berry can act and all that stuff. It's just give her better dialogue.
Well,
she can, absolutely. I've seen stuff where Halle Berry really moves me, but it sure ain't. Well, obviously Catwoman. The best DC film no one talks about. No, but when you have to sell a line, like in the interrogation bit where she says, "Your mama," I hate that so much.
I didn't find it as grating the last time I viewed the film, which was recent. It wasn't like 10 years ago. It was like, last calendar year.
Yeah. Last year to me, when I was doing the film, it was still as cringy as ever. But like, I'm sure my enjoyment of that film would be improved if I had about a year or two.
Again, Alan Cumming in a church, and this isn't an X-Men movie.
Yeah, he's not asking for forgiveness of his sins or carving himself or anything like that.
Carving? Wait, did he go full Da Vinci Code in that movie in X2?
Well, that's what the marks are. One for every sin.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I didn't even think of it.
That one. I didn't see that.
I didn't. Well, it's X2.
I know. I said I didn't see that one. The only one I saw was the last stand.
That's right. Yeah, but no, he marks himself, and one of those is for every sin, which I didn't even think of the Da Vinci Code, despite the fact that came out the same year, I think, as X3. I think of it, fourth time's the charm, Batman, because Victor Zsasz, that's his whole thing of carving marks for every kill that he does. And then we have one of my favorite bits of cameo that nobody talks about.
Mini Driver.
This is awesome. Given that Goodwill Hunting is Goodwill Hunting is one of my very favorite movies ever, and I will be doing a review on that film sometime in the near future. So I just thrill whenever Mini Driver shows up on here, and it's so funny to me. Who's strangling the cat?
This is something ironic I want to mention. Apparently, everybody uses their normal singing voices in the Phantom of the Opera movie from 2004, the Joel Schumacher directed one, except Mini Driver. She's the actual one that can actually sing, and they have her dubbed over or something when she sings.
And I think she won awards for that movie. And, she's supposed to be the soap opera diva. But yeah, Emmy Rossum in that film, like, if you listen to her outside of that film, she's astoundingly good. She's an amazing singer.
Gerard Butler, however, is not really
No.
that good of a singer.
No.
Strangling the cat.
That's such a good line.
He just whips the gun out.
Very talented girl.
Yep. I love that he almost like throws up in his mouth trying to say that.
Fuck you.
And even Valentine's just like, you know what? He's right.
Robbie Coltrane, who I believe was doing Cracker at the time.
I think so. Yeah.
That had oh shoot, who plays Renard again?
Robert Carlyle.
Robert Carlyle. He had a great guest role in one episode where he was he was a terrorist in that episode too, I think, in that show.
So I like this character of Robbie Coltrane's character. I don't like the character showing back up in another Bond film. I don't think that he's utilized very well in World Is Not Enough. That's a film that I think the script has a lot of problems with.
I think my disconnect with The World Is Not Enough is that it almost feels like a completely different character. Like, I know he reformed himself in between the films, but like it almost feels like Coltrane's playing it differently.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Because I can see how things go. Like, he's obviously he's a criminal lord here in this movie, but then he has a few breaks and he's like, hey, I can now go myself legitimate, but I'm still doing a lot of crime on the side still.
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about this scene in a second, because this is where one element that I think works better if you say we had originally the idea that was supposed to be Anthony Hopkins as 007.
Yeah, the timeline always kind of bothered me because, you know, Pierce was born in the 50s, and I assume Sean Bean is supposed to be playing a character the same age. The Cossacks with the being sent back to Stalin in 45. Did Trevelyan's parents, who just lived with that guilt, did they just live for 10 years, had a child, and then kill themselves right afterwards? Like, that's a long time to live with that guilt.
Exactly.
Well, look, it's hard out here, okay?
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, man, just survive.
But it is one of those things where, like, you're doing the math in your mind, you're like, something's not lining up here.
Yeah.
But that said, as much as I like the idea of Bond having to go against his old mentor again, and that's an idea that definitely could be used for a future film, I love having someone who is every bit Bond's equal as the villain. We've done that several times before in this series. I mean, almost from the start, you know, we had Red Grant, who's supposed to be the dark side of Bond, and to me, there's really not too many other characters that do that better.
Walken should have been if it was Timothy Dalton.
Sure. But Walken, they intend to just make that Goldfinger light, just with a touch of insanity.
Or I think you also mean test tube
insanity.
babiness is the part of that there.
Nazi test tube. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
This might be one of insanity. This might be one of my favorite scenes in the film.
Just how insane it is.
Well, it's not even that the scene's necessarily that insane, but I think it's a great character scene. Where a lot of these, unfortunately, a lot of the Bond films have issues where there's not a lot of character scenes in some of them. It's very plot focused.
Until you get to the Daniel Craig era, and then it has different problems with a lot of its character scenes. But yes, you are right. The first 20 films, and that was just the mentality that Cubby and Saltzman had that Barbara and Michael continued to have, which is, you know, they leaned a little bit more into the character stuff as we moved on, as audiences matured and we were allowed to do more things. You know, it was okay not to have an action scene every 5 minutes. But yeah, there was still this kind of sense of just, you know, we'll do what we have to in order to make the story work and then just kind of move past it. I think Bruce Fierstein on this script does very well at balancing the two. It never goes into full character drama, but it never goes into full on like breakneck action movie, let's just pass the popcorn quite like I would say some of Roger's films are.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
See, every time I end up in a Russian bathhouse, this is not usually what happens.
No, it's some big fat.
Is that a common occurrence for you, stepping into a Russian bathhouse?
Look, what I do in my free time with my money.
Oh, there's Boris.
Will be advertised online.
Yeah, every time I go to a Russian bathhouse, some big dude named Boris tries to offer me sex.
I love that line from Pierce. No more foreplay.
Here's the statue graveyard, which fun level.
Yeah, I'm surprised we've made it this far without talking about the video game, because even in our preamble, we're kids of the 90s, early 2000s. How is the GoldenEye video game not going to come up? This was always one of the levels that stuck with me. And so when I watched this film for the first time, I don't remember too much from that first viewing, but I distinctly remember just going, oh, the Statue Park looks exactly like it does in the game.
Judo chop!
Yep.
Okay, I have to say, we talked about Eric Serra's soundtrack. I think this moment with him and then talking with Trevelyan, I think is the best of the soundtrack. Whispering Statues and
sure.
I think it works
beautifully. I like the atmosphere of this. I think the strings weirdly don't match. The strings in this film always felt a little cheap to me, and I don't know if it was just the recording or mixing techniques or what it was with that. But those clash here with like the deep male voices that I think really work. But yeah, when he goes into the piano bit for Trevelyan and Bond, I think that works pretty well.
That's my favorite.
The score for this film, to me, it screams out like Casio keyboard recording in my bathtub type of vibes.
Keyboard cat.
Yeah.
Hey, if Keyboard Cat wants to record a Bond score, I'll listen to it. That's all I'll say.
So I have a theory, and I know that there are contradictions about this with the fandom, but like I have a theory that every Bond's first film is generally seen as one of, if not his best film. And I have yet to find somebody that really bucks that trend. So I'm trying to imagine. Well, Dr. No's a very well-liked film. It's not his best, but it is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would put it under half of the other ones he did.
And see, I would put it over. But then again, I was the weird one that put Dr. No over Goldfinger in my initial ranking when I made my presence known. But generally, like, all of the actors have had pretty solid films or performances to debut on. And so I've always wondered, like, which one gives the best debut performance? I don't know that I can pick, because every time I watch one of those, I'm like, oh, man, they really nailed this role.
I mean, I think it would have to be Daniel Craig. I think it has to be Casino
Craig's
Royale.
pretty impressive.
I say it's Pierce. I say it's Pierce.
I don't know. I like
tough.
Pierce more in Tomorrow Never Dies, and The World Is Not Enough.
Yeah, but like he steps into this role and he does not feel out of place. And that's impressive because I think, if I remember the production history right, this was still written as being more of a harsher edge thing. Like, I could easily see Dalton play some of these scenes.
Oh, yes.
And yet, Pierce doesn't feel like he was miscast here. He does a great job. Craig is also the one I'm pretty impressed with, but I give a little bit of a separation there because Craig's playing a clearly reinterpreted version of the character to the point where some fans have argued that he's James Bland, not James Bond, which I hate that argument, but I get where they're coming from. It's just that Bond is at his core the same character as we've had before, but like a lot of the peripherals, a lot of things about him, and even just his attitude towards some things, it's deliberately designed to be different. So I don't know that Craig ever got to play classic Bond, because I don't think he was ever really interested in doing that.
But do we need another classic Bond is the question there, too. But that's a
Trevelyan-
topic
My
for a
answer
different
is
day.
yes.
Trevelyan mentioning his face and all that stuff. It's like, dude, that scar ain't that bad. This is like the deformity of Gerard Butler in the Phantom of the Opera movie. It's like, dude, come on. It looks like
Right.
you have a really bad sunburn. That doesn't look like you're hideously
I
deformed.
promise you, the Lon Chaney makeup was far more terrifying to me, and that was 100 years ago, than Gerard Butler's makeup in that film.
This
Scar
is how
isn't
I
bad.
wake up every morning and we're late to go to work.
You always wake up in a helicopter strapped and ready to explode.
Yeah, with
Paul
dart
has a
hole in
really
my
exciting
neck.
life,
I do.
My life is an action movie every day.
I mean, he
Look, this-
shoots guns and writes about guns and watches for a magazine.
I drive a
for an online
turbocharged
magazine.
vehicle.
Yeah, sure. Don't mean to out you there, Paul, but yeah, like
Meanwhile, I'm still between
he does
jobs.
he does have a pretty interesting. I mean, you're literally looking at his office.
Yeah, this is my office and recording setup for the non out in the mountains shooting gun stuff.
Y'all
Yeah.
got great cameras. Meanwhile, I'm using a freaking crappy webcam on my laptop.
Well, this isn't even where I do most of my videos. I actually work in a production studio, so I have access to nicer things.
Okay,
And
I'm sorry. This whole part is ridiculous. Why didn't they just? Again, I know it's the movie logic and all that stuff, but again, why not just kill James and then just leave his dead body in the helicopter?
Because we have to have a movie.
I know.
look,
This is also a very missile-heavy Bond film, so...
It is. But like Goldfinger set that precedent of just, we're not going to kill Bond, despite the fact that that would be the smart thing to do. And we've just kept doing it.
Well, I mean,
And Die Hard-
truthfully, we can say Goldfinger set the precedent, but in reality, it was the book set the precedent. Like, if we had to take a trope for every franchise and say, okay, define the franchise, the Bond franchise is that every single movie or book has to have Bond tied up being tortured at some point, right?
I had a book that was written about 2002. It didn't have Die Another Day in it, but it was literally a Bond fan who went through and ranked the films and ranked all the elements and whatnot. And I remember having this book and reading it quite a bit. And he had a category which was just, why don't they just shoot him? And he had like his 5 most contrived ways that Bond got out of a situation where he really should have died because the villain left the room.
I'm
And
just
I
going
think
to
this
the
was
room
on
and
there.
assume everything went well.
I think Austin Powers actually is very hit and miss, just as a film franchise and certainly within the films. But there are some bits where they're like right on the ball, and that's one of them. I'm just going to leave the room and assume it all went according to plan. What?
My favorite moment in that trilogy is them on Jerry Springer. You were born in your mother's beep beep beep. The world is mine. The world is mine. You beep beep beep.
Yep.
It's all the censor bleeps.
No, but to speak about camera quality, the cameras don't matter as much as having these big, bright things in here. They make a big difference. The blast.
We kind of quickly skipped by it, but how Bond escaped the helicopter and all that stuff, they just ripped that off from Die Hard 2.
Yes. Yes, they did.
But that's always been kind of Bond. He's always kind of chased the zeitgeist at times. I mean, Live and Let Die was clearly made. It's like, hey, the blaxploitation genre's blowing up. Let's do a blaxploitation film starring James Bond.
Well, more importantly, they cast actors who were big in the blaxploitation genre to be in that film.
It is pretty hard, Jerry, to like talk about films that were intended to be one way, and then we just live in the reality where we got them this way. And yet, I don't necessarily want to see certain. I don't want to see certain films without the people that are in them. If that makes sense.
Oh my god!
I want to see a universe where Dalton got his 3rd or 4th film. I don't know that I necessarily need that to be GoldenEye because I think Pierce works so well with it. but I still want to see them, and I fully intend on doing a video talking about the third and fourth scripts that we have access to that Dalton would have done.
If you know about Big Trouble in Little China, like Clint Eastwood was considered for the role at one point, and then it's just like no. Oh my God, it's my fifth favorite movie of all time, and I'm forgetting his name.
Kurt Russell.
I know Kurt Russell. What is its character's name?
Jack. Whatever. His character name doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Jack Burton. There we go.
Yeah, you know what old Jack Burton always says? Yeah, apparently Clint Eastwood was considered for that role. It's like, no, that does not work. The alternate's kind of funny though. Kurt Russell, I think he could have played Han Solo well. I've seen the test footage.
Sure. But like when you go through this series and look at all the people who could have been Bond,
that was a hot
all
take,
who were up for the role. Like, you know, you have Michael Gambon at one point.
Sam Neill.
And Adam West was talked to after Majesties in preparation for Diamonds. John Gavin was actually signed on to play Bond for Diamonds, and then that ended up not happening. And like, I would kind of love to see some of these things, but also there are definitely some casting choices like Adam West. I don't know what they were thinking when they talked to Adam West. I love Adam West. He is not right for Bond.
No.
I am of the opinion, like, I like to think I don't have too many actual preferences. You know, a film can do this, a film can do that. Bond can be this, Bond can be that. I don't need Bond to be strictly British. He can be Irish, he can be Scottish, he can be Welsh, doesn't matter to me. But he has to be English in some way. Like, I don't see, of the Isles. I don't see how you can make an American James Bond work. And I say that knowing there has been stuff where they've tried American James Bonds. And the Casino Royale 54 show is a really interesting experiment, but it just kind of goes to show that like the least interesting thing in that episode is the portrayal of Bond himself. Barry Nelson didn't necessarily have a template to work from and just played it straight. And it's not great.
I mean, we've seen American actors playing British actors. You know, we get the whole, like, a lot of British actors have played, like, you know, Henry Cavill as Superman and all that stuff, you know.
In 2012, we had our 3 big American superheroes, and all of them were being played by British actors. Because you had Christian Bale, who's Welsh. You have Andrew Garfield, who's British, playing Spider-Man. And then the next year, we had Henry Cavill, British, playing the iconic American hero. Like, it's a thing.
But then we had Robert Downey Jr. as Charlie Chaplin, and then he was Sherlock Holmes. So we had the reversal. So it's just like, James Brolin. I mean, or not James. James Brolin. That's Josh.
Yeah, it was James Brolin. Josh Brolin's his son. That's now big.
Yeah, but James Brolin, like, he was gonna fake a British accent, wasn't he?
If the test footage is anything to go by, I bet they would have.
Again, we were talking about like other people. Sam Neill, I mean, he's fine, but it's just like, no, I can't see Sam Neill as James Bond. I'm sorry.
I absolutely could.
I think he would have been okay, but...
Well, if you look at what he was doing in the 80s, Sam Neill as an actor has more range than any actor who's played Bond. Aside from maybe Craig. Craig has a lot of range. I don't know, but
you say
the
that,
whole hypothetical
and just be ready. In about 30 minutes, you're going to get a whole crowd full of people ready to kill you.
I'm fine with that.
For deciding that Connery didn't have range.
I mean, Connery was always Connery is the issue.
Yes.
He was a fantastic actor, but he kind of has the issue that a lot of very popular actors have these days, where like Denzel Washington can't play a character. Will Smith can't play a character. You name it. A lot of these wrestlers can't play a character.
You get too big at some point, and you just go ahead and just roll off of natural.
The Rock is The Rock.
And I personally feel that's part of my problem with the Connery films. You know, if he was just doing the same character that he did in Dr. No and From Russia with Love, I would agree with everybody else. He is the best Bond. But when you get to Goldfinger, as entertaining as he is there, he's just Sean Connery reading lines. It's wonderful. It's entertaining, but it's not a character.
Roger Moore.
And then he doubles down on that. Well, Roger Moore Yeah, he very much does that. But at the same time, I do think he put a little more effort into it because he was having more fun the entire time. Connery made it very clear that he didn't think very highly of having to come back and do this character. Not that he hated the character, he just felt he was better than it. And I hear it from a lot of people that hate Craig that part of their problem with his era was that the actor became the selling point over the character. That like we're celebrating Daniel Craig's end as Bond, and so they criticize him for that. But I'm like, but we had Never Say Never Again, which was built off of the fact that it's Sean Connery coming back to Bond. So like,
well, I mean, so was
this
Diamonds,
has been done
right?
before. Yeah, that's kind of my point. Is just we've had these bits where we're celebrating a particular actor that's been bigger than Bond. And the 2 points where that happened was Craig and Connery.
I kind of wish
to throw one in the ring here as the counterpoint. I'd be happy with an American Bond. Do you know who'd be great as Bond? As someone who loves the character, understands the character, David Cornsweet. I think he'd be great for Bond.
I was surprised, because I saw all the interviews, and we already knew he was a Star Wars fan. And he's got great respect for Superman. But when he brought up Bond in a particular interview, I was like, holy crap. He knows his stuff. He's one of me.
Mm-hmm.
One of us.
Yep. I just love the whole idea of this tank chase.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of stylish, we're just going to go with just pure cheesy awesome.
But also very Keystone Cops-ish stuff.
But done much better than they ever did it with Roger.
I don't know. When we have Roger Moore throwing small Thai children off of boats and Sheriff J.W. Pepper,
Okay. I'm talking about like the actual chases where there's the cop cars involved.
Of course.
Diamonds, Live and Let Die, Man with the Golden Gun, View to a Kill. I just never liked that idea because they never really were able to make it work, and it really was as funny. I think Live and Let Die is the closest they ever got, but even then, that boat chase goes on so long.
But I love it. I want every second of that boat chase. I think it's earned because
stuff, but
I will say, not that we're talking Live and Let Die, I really like that film. It does have pacing issues, where not a whole lot happens for like the first half of the film. It's not until we have Bond and Solitaire escaping from Kananga's facility, and then it's like all of the action scenes get layered back to back to back to back.
And see, that's something I don't particularly care for, is just when we have nonstop action the entire time. This tank chase is a perfect example of how to do an action scene because it's tacked on to a previous scene, which is a different flavor. It's a 7 or 8 minute long sequence. By the time you stitch those two things together, it never gets boring.
Are you counting
constantly changing up?
Are you counting the archives as part of this scene, or is the scene before it?
Yeah, it is.
Quick. They had to quickly shoot this scene to show that, like, oh yeah, Bond didn't kill a cop.
Because there's no way when you watch that one shot, you didn't think he ran over some cops.
We have our product placement here for,
I guess they're soldiers.
Well, no, I think that was the St. Petersburg police there.
Okay. I believe that cameo was actually the director of photography. I know it was somebody within the crew,
dude,
who was in the Perrier.
Real world implications of all. Man, Russia would be pissed at freaking the UK for what happened. Like, look what your agents did.
What do you think Em and Moneypenny spend their days doing?
averting
international conflicts here, but like, yeah.
Yeah, they brought that up in Cracked After Hours about James Bond is like secretly terrible or something.
Yeah. He's a terrible spy. He's a terrible agent for the government because, my goodness, he can't do one of these things and not create huge problems.
I mean, that is a plot point in the Craig films, in the first two Craig films, is I have to keep cleaning up your messes.
Yeah. It's part of the catalyst for his character arc in Casino Royale.
the armored train that is straight out of the 1940s, or I guess straight out of the war in Ukraine now.
Snowpiercer.
But I loved the design of this train.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so cool.
Okay, just to clarify, you guys have seen the Cracked After Hours video about James Bond, right?
Not all the way through.
Oh, I loved Cracked After Hours. Those guys were funny.
Now here's my hot take. This is my favorite level from GoldenEye N64.
The train's great.
Yeah, it's quick. Train and Silo are the two that I like the most. Even if you're better at Silo than I am.
We have scientifically proven that.
We have.
No, for those of you not in the know, this is an aside, but Paul and I live close enough to each other that we've hung out for various things, if that wasn't obvious through this already. And one night when we were over, we were doing a double date, and he issued a challenge, let's play some GoldenEye together. And what we did was we took a level, and then we saw who could get through it the fastest. I was the only one of the two of us that actually beat Silo, because I did not get the satellite blown up. You did before you could take a photo of it.
Yeah, no, yeah. One of the NPCs shot the satellite. So when I play GoldenEye, I'm very aggressive with it. I don't go cautious. We're trying to hit that part time.
Yeah, just to clarify, considering the fact that you guys wanted to start on Mountain Time, it's obvious that you two aren't close to Houston.
Nah, I've only ever flown through Texas.
Okay, again, how the freak did Bond get here?
I have no idea. All I can figure is that the train did like a complete U-turn like this.
Oh, can we quickly mention a funny fun little thing? 343 on the tank.
I doubt that was intentional.
It's the Halo tank.
I guess the guys from Halo were fans of GoldenEye in a way. They're just like, hey, that's a good number. We can use it.
I think it's just a happy little coincidence there.
Whenever the numbers 327 show up in a film, I always have it in the back of my head. Somebody's a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay, so apparently this train was designed to be able to resist being hit by bombers and all that stuff, during the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
How the freak does one tank shell just blow this whole thing up?
Well, I mean, if you think about a tank shell, obviously we don't know what rounds loaded in this tank, but there's a whole lot of difference between shrapnel from a bomb versus an armor-piercing round from a tank.
You guys missed my pun there. It's more piercing than anything.
That's a pun on many different levels.
I know.
And I want to hear more puns.
She should have played Dead. If I was Natalia, I would have played Dead there for a few minutes, just to see what happens.
Yeah, she's a civilian. She's never been involved in this. Just going off of instinct, sure.
See, that might be my favorite line of the film. That, or this is my idea of safe sex.
Yep. I actually like how often this scenario gets repeated through this film, because it becomes a plot point in of himself, where Bond can choose to go with his feelings or go for the mission. And it does say something about Bond, because it looks like he's making different calls every time. He goes with a mission, he goes with a friend, he goes with a mission, he goes with a friend. When in reality, it's always in service of the mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, can we just quickly think for a second, though? Say he did shoot Trevelyan and Zania just like right there. Right as soon as he shows up, he just mows him down. What was going to happen? Do you think Arubov was going to shoot Natalia, or then he just sees, or was he thinking, oh, did they get Bond?
Well, so here's my thing, because it's more than just the Trevelyan thing. Bond is also aware that the GoldenEye is still missing.
That's true.
So there's got to be somebody here that has something to do with the GoldenEye. So if he shoots Trevelyan and Xenia, he would probably still be able to turn around and get Ormov. So he'd get 3 people, but he'd have no leads, really, because Boris which he mentioned earlier, he doesn't know if she was actually telling the truth about who he is or lying. So he's still thinking, I am told to go find the GoldenEye and stop whatever they have planned with it. Shooting Trevelyan does not accomplish that until he knows until the GoldenEye is accounted for. After that, he can kill Trevelyan.
Yeah. That's true. He hasn't slept with her yet.
Well, that too. But, they can sleep with each other on the way to Guantanamo.
Again, that I agree with people when they say that Arumov kind of got just a pour out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not that I wanted him to have like an operatic death scene where he's just lying there and says like a whole bunch of words. But yeah, it is pretty much just a done.
Well, he is henchman number 2 and the less impressive henchman of the film.
And again, they play the whole Jens Cossack thing and all that stuff. It just it doesn't. They do nothing with that part. You would think honestly.
Yes. Well, I think the whole point is that Oromov betrays his country. Well, guess what? You were in the employ of a traitor to begin with, and like he might have thought about that like as a traitor to England, but Jens Cossack, traitor to Russia too. This is just who Trevelyan is. I think that's supposed to be the point, but it's subtle enough. It's very easy to miss, and I am going to count that as like if you're looking for thematic depth in this movie, that's someplace where they bury the lead.
Yeah, but I'm just saying when because Arumov has that hesitation when he's like, "Did he tell you he's a Jens Cossack?" He's like, what? You would have thought that like there would have been a brief moment where like Arumov, like, okay, wait, maybe on second thought, maybe I'm not going along with your plan there, Trevelyan, you traitor, and then then he gets shot by Trevelyan.
Well, if he stayed with Trevelyan, he gets more money than God.
That's true.
Money over principles.
Again, you saw it was a 5-letter word.
I know, right? This bugs me every time.
Oh, the playing with passwords and all that stuff. Was this a Jurassic Park reference?
I don't think so.
Possible.
I mean, maybe, but like GoldenEye, techie, hacker stuff was really big at this point in the 90s.
Hack the planet!
Because Mission Impossible came out the following year, and that was big on hacking.
Yep. And you had, what was the crappy film with Angelina Jolie and Matthew Lillard with the hacker group? Is it just called Hackers?
It's Hackers.
I think so, yeah.
Hack the planet!
Yeah. That movie's terrible, but that movie was also a big, hackers thing.
This is one of my favorite shots.
My eyebrows.
Big dive. Ah, so good. No, at the beginning of this week, just before this live stream, I went ahead and made a 2-minute trailer for this film, just to play in front of the live stream for anybody that clicked in early and didn't just want to sit there and wait. But when I was making that trailer, I knew that scene, that shot of Bond and Natalia running away from the train and the explosion goes off. I knew I had to put that somewhere in there.
Well, and that showed up in a lot of the trailers for the film too. Just because
I know
it's one of the big
it's an
action
iconic
set
image.
pieces. Yeah,
I feel like I've seen that image on the back of DVD and VHS boxes.
Is it on the back of this one? Let's take a peek. It is not, no. Although we do have the upcoming loving tender scene in Cuba.
Yes.
On the back of the box here.
Mm-hmm. Where you always call their bluff.
I do think it's funny that they advertise here on the back of the box, from a destructive tank chase through the streets of St. Petersburg to a special effects-laden climax in the Cuban jungle. So they named the 2 action things that happened back to back.
Yeah, in the last 45 minutes of the movie.
How the heck did they get the car into Cuba?
That's your big question? Really?
Partially. Again, it's a shame that this whole, because we got to mention it. The car, they get mentioned it's laden with gadgets and all that stuff, but they never used it because the whole BMW product placement thing was like kind of a last minute affair.
But you can't deny that was successful. This is the car from the series I have seen the most outside of the franchise.
Because it was like a $30,000 car.
Yeah.
If you want to buy one right now, we can get you one. It's just going to be a heap.
I know. But I see this car everywhere. I've only seen a handful of Aston Martins, and one of them was actually a few weeks ago here in the Western United States, not anywhere where you thought it would be.
See, this is why I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt for the live stream, is because our man Wade here is. I don't have a straw hat though. I'm not that cool. Is it Felix Leiter? Or is it the very sweaty DEA agent from the beginning of License to Kill?
Yeah. It always bugged me that Pierce was the one actor who did multiple films that never had a Felix.
You're right. He had a Jack Wade. Okay.
Yeah. He did.
In my deck of Pokemon cards, where I've got Felix Leiters and Jack Wades, which one am I taking?
Well, I guess at this point, I don't know if they ever really seriously considered Felix, but if they were going to stay in continuity with the films, Felix's maiming in the last film would have had to have been addressed at some point, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I would have
liked, address it.
I
in
would
the
have
books.
liked. Yes, they do. But I would have liked to have seen an on-screen Felix Leiter that actually had the hook for a hand.
Well, I think
hook arm and wobbling around.
Well, I think he had both of his hands in License to Kill.
He did. But I'm just saying
he lost a
that,
leg
like,
in the film.
in the future, if they ever do Felix and if they ever maim him, the next film, I want to see the hook for a hand.
And the eye patch.
Yeah, I can live with the eye patch or live without it. It's fine.
Again, the whole BMW thing that's crazy though. Because it's kind of weird. Because okay, what was the car that he uses in what was the Vanish and Die Another Day?
It was the Martin V12 Vanquish.
Okay,
Yep.
V12. Okay. And I was just trying to think, because like it's kind of weird, like with the certain bonds, they have like a certain car, you know. Obviously, the DB5 for Connery, the Lotus is for Moore, or the Citron, a Jalopy Citron,
Or a tuk-tuk.
I like the tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
Tuk-tuk, or hear me out here. Trains, lots of trains in Roger's time.
We also have the, and then of course, you know, we got the V8 Vantage for Dalton. But but when you think about,
the thing is Craig actually had the DB5 more than Connery ever did. Connery only had it the 2 times, and yeah, everybody thinks of Connery with that.
yeah, that's true. Wait, what was the 2 times? It was Goldfinger and
Thunderball.
Yeah, the beginning of Thunderball.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but with Craig, there's only one of his films that doesn't have the DB5 in it.
And it's a great film.
Sure.
Wait, which film didn't have the DB5?
Quantum. Because it's not there in most of Spectre, but that's the coda to it, so it counts.
Plus, it's Spectre. I mean, we don't talk about
Spectre.
Spectre.
I don't like Spectre all that much, but you know, I'll discuss its merits with people and try to have fun over it. But it's not a film I like rewatching all that much.
It's weird. It's weird how Spectre is like in my top 10.
I know. I am always happy to hear with people that film really works with them, and I just want to hear from you guys, like, why do you love it over all these other ones? And we could have easily done a Spectre watch through because it's the 10th anniversary of that film, but popular opinion wins out. And after the Moore and Dalton films that we did in the Discord, we knew Brosnan was probably going to be the next one.
Look, when we get to ranking my favorite George Lazenby Bond films, it'll be an interesting time.
I got a comment on the Moore compilation one. It's like, you missed the George Lazenby years. I decided that I was going to lump that in with Dalton, do it as the human Bonds, and have those 3 films together. And I'm also excited to redo that one because 2 of the 3 films have now had expanded soundtracks since I did their original review. So I've got new music tracks I can put underneath it. I'm really excited about that.
Wait, what did you say there, Paul? About you were ranking Lazenby movies?
I'll say no. The joke is ranking my favorite Lazenby Bond films.
Oh.
All one of them.
I thought
Yeah.
It's easily his best Bond film, but it's also his worst Bond film.
I stand by that. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the worst George Lazenby Bond film I have ever seen. But I will also die on the hill. Majesty's is also the best Bond I've ever seen.
I thought you were going to go like a best Lazenby movies overall, and I'm just like, what? Gettysburg isn't on the top of it? That brief moment before Pickett's charge where he's
no,
it's Universal Soldier. Okay,
it's Country Fried. It's the Country Fried movie.
Kentucky Fried Movie.
Take him to Detroit,
where he shows up for 15 seconds in a cameo scene. Because he probably cost about $12 to put in the movie.
Or that one episode of Batman Beyond. He's in Batman.
How did
Beyond.
I know you were going to bring that up? Yep, the Royal Flush Gang.
Well, man, it's
that
been
missile looks so bad.
God, I have not seen the DC animated universe in forever.
I've been tinkering with doing something on one of the shows, and it would probably be Batman.
Okay, so I have a question here. This is a sound design thing. Why did we get choppy engine noises if the engine sustained no damage from the missile hit?
The rule in sound design is that reality goes out the window.
It's supposed to be a plane going down, so you have to make it sound like it's going down.
You work from the audience's perspective. What would you want to hear? And so that's the reason why, like, none of the guns in just about any action film you've ever seen is actually the gun sound that they would use. My favorite example that I use for people is The Dark Knight, the Joker's machine pistol. That is not what that machine pistol sounds like. They pulled the sound from a Gatling gun underneath a helicopter because they needed something big and weighty. I know you're going to have a point to contradict with me on that.
Well, no.
Generally.
There is a film that I enjoy very much, even though it's not the most historically accurate film. Black Hawk Down won the Oscar for sound. And that was a film where they did not embellish the firearm or explosion noises. They went out and actually did that. But again, I agree. You want to have punchier stuff for a lot of things.
The style of the film is really important for how you want to do this. When you do
interrupt GoldenEye to bring you footage of Apocalypse Now.
Right. But like when you do a Rocky movie, you have certain expectations of those kinds of fight scenes. And that's very different from Raging Bull or from $1 Million Baby. You play those differently with each other. And the same thing goes in Bond.
It's not Medal of Honor Airborne where they filmed like the sound effects of all the weapons used.
Granular Spirit has the comment here in the comment section that I agree with 100%. That is a film of all 25 of the official Bond films. Spectre's not my least favorite, but it's the one that I bounced off of the most. It's one that I saw when it came out. I've seen it a handful of times since then. I don't understand the appeal of that film. To me, it's boring and dull and does a whole lot of stuff that I dislike. And I'm just happy that No Time to Die was able to salvage a whole lot of what that film put down as the groundwork.
To me, it did. I'm trying and I'm getting to the point where I can understand why people like Spectre. But I have still never heard anybody like go to the mat about some of the story choices on that film, and I would really love to hear it. Not because I enjoy people trying to like bend over backwards to make some things make sense. I genuinely want to hear from somebody a good long thesis as to why the Blofeld thing works for them, why certain bits of that movie work for them. I would love to hear it because I'm genuinely interested.
I can tell you right now, 2 words, Christoph Waltz.
But he's not very good in the movie.
But he's boring to me.
I don't know.
I love Christoph.
I don't know. It's Christoph Waltz. I like him. I don't know. I fully agree with you guys when what you're saying.
I like Waltz too. But there are actors that like just because they are in the movie doesn't mean that necessarily works for me. The style of their performance has to work with that character. It's the argument I have for why Talisa Soto in License to Kill works for me. Because that wooden kind of performance suggests somebody who's dead inside. Well, guess what? That's the character. She's dead inside. She
So
has
is
no
the
hope.
actress.
So is the actress. I think that's more a happy accident than anything. I doubt they actually played it like that, but it actually works for me.
Wait, was there something wrong with her personally? Did she
No,
have, like,
no, it's just
No,
it's just a
Talisa
joke.
Soto.
It's
Talisa
just a joke.
Soto is just the model who gets lucky to be in films. The only other big film anybody's ever seen of her is Mortal Kombat, I think, and
Yes.
she's terrible in that.
who does she play in Mortal Kombat?
I think she's Melina.
I thought it was
yeah.
Katana.
Katana. She's Katana or Melina. She's one of the two.
Wait, Melina's
Yeah.
the one with the shark teeth, right?
I
In
think
the,
it's Katana.
in the sequel, you have a whole point about Katana's mother being brought back. Because like it's one of the worst line exchanges I've ever seen.
No, don't
Mother,
say it.
you are alive. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat might be the most competent film from Paul W.S. Anderson, but that's like saying that, I don't know, a Big Mac is the most competent thing you can get on the menu at a McDonald's.
Or that The Rock is the best. Oh God, who directed The Rock?
Michael Bay,
Yeah, best Michael Bay movie.
which I've not really seen anything to contradict that statement.
We've talked about it. I like the Tom Clancy Jack Reacher show, but people don't necessarily like that because it is very dry.
I agree with Neil. It's like, you know, maybe this is what you're referencing, maybe not. I think of Monty Python. This is an argument. Yes, it is. It's just a statement of contradictions. Could be. No, it can't.
He's got teeth. He can leap. Look at the bones.
Pingwing put that there are certain scenes in Spectre that are decent. I can say the same thing for a lot of the Bond films that I rank really lowly. Like, there are parts of A View to a Kill that I enjoy, but they're fleeting. They are highlights in a sea of bad.
The motto that I have for this channel is no Bond film is without merit, and I genuinely stand by that. That even my least favorite films, I can always point out at least a couple of things that I really like about them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I have not seen the Star Wars holiday equivalent for Bond yet, and I've seen some bad stuff.
I thankfully have still never seen the holiday special, not even with riff tracks.
Never Say Never Again is the closest I get to that.
It's the closest. It's the closest, but holiday special is still another level of awful for me. So whenever
it's bad and boring.
Yes,
like that combination is like the worst.
Yeah. No, Jerry, I agree with you. Talisa Soto is an underrated Bond girl. And the project I'm currently working on right now, which you won't see next week because it's just too big of a video, I'm finally doing the secondary Bond girls ranking, and it's just taking a while to get through it because I have 90 some odd people that's on that list. Talisa Soto will be quite a bit higher than I think most people would place her. I wasn't sure exactly where I'd place her until I started doing the list. And there were a couple of surprise placements for me.
You said secondary girls. I thought you said you were doing all the girls.
Well, I'm not counting anybody that I did in the first part.
Oh.
So the first 25, those don't count. Everybody else who wasn't in that video will get counted. So that's Electra King, that's Rosa Klebb, that's Paloma, that's Patricia Faring, both versions, all those people.
And again, really, can we? It's really hard to argue that number one would. Well,
I am not going to reveal what my number one is. If you want to talk about that after the stream, I will tell you what my number one is.
Oh, I know it. It's just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carrie Lowell is on my main Bond girls list, and she is one of my favorites. I don't think she made the top 5, but she was pretty close. She might have made the top 5.
She was up there. I got to rewatch.
Yeah, she was definitely in the top 10. Well, thank you, Brett. I'm glad you enjoyed them. I put a lot of work into them. Considering I write the scripts, I do all the editing and the voice recording, all that. Every element of the production I do by myself. The one element where I had help was with the titles. But even then, I switch out the footage for those and I change the overlay. I have a little bit of I have a little bit of experience in After Effects, so I can make some things work. Sometimes, Neil, it is a Herculean effort. It depends on the length of the video. I was surprised last year how often I got those videos out. And I was in the middle of a move when I was doing this film. License to Kill, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies. I was in the middle of a move, and I still managed to get those out weekly.
Again, there was just nobody in this room to, always on standby. Somebody at least just working the computer at least.
I would have to imagine that, there's only one computer that's the most important in the room, and it's just the brains behind the computer that can make them do the things. And that's kind of the point here, is that Natalia can take most any computer connected to the system and do this kind of damage. I doubt any of these technicians could do exactly the same thing.
True.
But, she's second rate.
See, mine, when I do that, nothing happens.
No,
a helium escape valve is just a helium escape valve.
No. When you press the button on your watch, it does nothing except open some random person's garage door in Reno.
I just hear my fire alarms going off.
Neil, in the videos, the music cues, well, thank you. I am a sound designer by trade, so the Bond soundtracks are constantly on, and I do have very specific music cues that I'm working with when I do those videos.
Okay, can we talk about the plan here for a second? The whole breaking into the Bank of England and how they're doing all this stuff, something just doesn't feel right with me on that one. I mean, the whole plan works perfectly. They steal the money and then activate the GoldenEye to wipe away the transaction, but it's just yeah, but
this is, think of it this way. To me, this is very much the Goldfinger plot of we're detonating a dirty bomb in Fort Knox. This is a thing that you would obviously be able to track back to the source. But yeah, it's a movie, and we have to have things happen in the movie for it to be enjoyable. I'm okay overlooking this. I'm more concerned about the opening with Trevelyan and Ourumov.
Yeah. Trevelyan being a 00 agent, I mean, I don't know if Bond is actually a great representation of the 00 section in general, but that section is supposed to live in the shadows. So I buy that Trevelyan can be off. I mean, he was for 9 years in this film. Be off the edge of the map and be out of the radar of MI6 and whatnot. And that was with computer systems. So, yeah, you could trace it to Trevelyan eventually. I imagine he'd still be able to at least live a few years off of that wealth before they could get to him. Though, the second he starts to buy a really good yacht for himself, I think you're in trouble.
The yacht, he's the Russian henchman. Imagine payroll for all of these people, okay? Is he doing his taxes? Probably not.
Okay. There is a joke in the GoldenEye Daniel Craig video game that I love. When you start one of the last levels, you're in this very long tunnel tubular system, working your way up to the satellite control center. And you have these two henchmen that have a conversation with each other about what are you going to do with your money? And one guy's going to go off and start a chain of hotels or something like that. And I'm how much is he getting paid?
It's a really good henchman.
No, it's George Clooney and Brad Pitt in surprise cameos. It's their Ocean's roles.
Oh dear, that would explain a lot. Because Robbie Coltrane shows up in those films.
Yeah, what is Brad Pitt's character's name in that movie? I forget. Oh, Rusty.
Linus.
No, Linus is Matt Damon.
No, Linus is Damon. Yeah, no, Rusty is the character.
Yeah, right. Rusty. He's he when they were in Ocean's 12 when they were talking about how much do people owe and he owes even more than what they stole and all that stuff. It's hotels, man.
Yep.
That's also how they got that girl in 13 with make her manager for the hotel in Macau.
Ellen Barkin's character?
No. The woman that tipped him off of who the reviewer is or whatever.
Yeah. The woman who stays there at the receptionist area.
Yeah. The one that they take that 5 Diamond reviewer guy and they just torture.
Yeah. But hey, he won $1 million at the end.
They gave him the Susan B. Anthony at the hotel at the airport.
Right.
That was always funny about those movies of like, you need a Jim Brown, you need the Ella Fitzgerald, and it's like, what the hell does all this mean?
It's just fun double talk. I get it.
Oh, this
Jerry
Tarantino.
Comment here.
Yeah.
All I'd say is I don't want to see a Bond period piece. There are already period pieces of the period for which they filmed the film, and I prefer that.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind Tarantino necessarily trying it, because I think if nothing else, it would lead to an interesting experiment. But Tarantino has also said a couple of things that he wanted to do, because he wanted to do Casino Royale in the 50s with Brosnan. I don't see how you can make that work with an established Bond without ruining the point of Casino Royale, the book. So I imagine he would have just taken that, but I would have hated it if that was our only serious adaptation of Casino Royale. Because
it's also a case of getting Tarantino to do this, and it's just like, yeah, but this is Tarantino. Is he going to actually act restrained or something? Are people not going to drop F-bombs in this movie like a lot?
I don't mind the idea of pushing the content in Bond. I wouldn't mind a rated R Bond film, but I also don't think you need to push for it. I think it should be something that comes naturally out of the story.
Well, in the era that he was talking about wanting to approach Eon to do that was before the Daniel Craig Casino Royale came out.
Yep.
And also it was on the heels of one of his more grounded films, because that was in between Jackie Brown and Kill Bill, I believe. And Jackie Brown is one of his only films he did that's an adaptation of something else. It's not an original thing that he wrote.
Thanks
for being here.
I was just about to say in between, what was in between was Jackie Brown was nothing. It was Jackie Brown then Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's what he was looking
about
at.
2003, 2004. But Tarantino also said he wanted to do a Star Trek film, and depending on what his pitch is, I wouldn't have minded that. But I know a lot of people don't like Star Trek when it does the darker, grittier stuff.
When it does Star Wars?
Apart from, yeah.
First Contact was awesome.
Whatever. First Contact's fine. I've got some issues with that story, but as a film, I enjoy it. And that came out the year after this film. This is actually one of the music cues that I wholeheartedly say is one of my favorites. But it's one of the only times where it actually feels like he's making an effort and not just doing
Leon the
Professional again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have this, which is decent, and then we end the film with one of the worst tracks that I think is fun.
I would say, unless you guys actually want to watch The Experience of Love, I will stop the movie right at about that point.
Well, of all the Bond films that just kind of end, this is one that has one of the more abrupt endings in the series, I think.
I'm fine with the ending. I just hate the song. They could have done any number of things. And I get that for the last few films, they had been doing an end title song that was different, because Living Daylights has a different song, and License to Kill has a different song. So, Tomorrow Never Dies will ultimately have a different song, and The World's Not Enough was supposed to have a different song. And this is the worst of the bunch.
The classic metal pipe in the big gears trick.
This is a little silly.
Like that would actually work. Like, I'm pretty sure that.
Do you trust Cuban builders to make a satellite dish array properly?
I'm pretty sure that pipe would have snapped in half.
Yes. Bond films are very hit and miss with their fight sequences, and this hand-to-hand fight sequence with Trevelyan is one of my favorites.
It feels like a callback to Bond versus Red Grant on the train.
It's unfortunate because, I don't think that that's necessarily the pinnacle of all movie fights, but I also can't think of a whole lot that are better than that. So I'm hoping we haven't peaked that early in the series, that there's other good fistfights we could do. But yeah, that was just so good. It's hard to top it.
It's always like the template of like Bond in a serious fight with an equal, and like it's a close confined space. I mean, you always have to kind of go back to From Russia with Love.
I mean, you know, we have some great fights, like Roger Moore and Tippett versus the two old
Why
guys
did you have to
in
bring
Max
that up?
Zorin's basement.
I swear,
It's just the first thing I think of.
I swear you're intentionally
terrible.
trying to rile me up with that. I hate that so much.
Hey, look, A View to a Kill is a film. It is a film.
It is a film.
That's all I can say. It
is
is
a
one
film.
of the films of time.
How's the Xfinity?
To anybody that actually understands that reference, I promise you, I would rather watch A View to a Kill over Morbius, but it is still kind of fun to take the Mickey out of it.
That talking.
We could do a double feature watch party of Morbius and A View to a Kill. No one's ever done that before. We'd be the first humans on the planet to do
Probably
that.
not. Yeah.
It's Morbin time.
So the GoldenEye music in the video game for the N64, we all agree is so much better, but then again, that's not saying much.
Grant Kirkhope, man.
My favorite, yeah, Grant Kirkhope and Graham Norgate. And there was a third composer there that's often not credited. But the music for the Cradle level, both its original version and how hard it goes when you get to finish the job, James, if you can, that is my favorite bit of music in that entire game.
Suicide is painless. Sorry, I had MASH on the brain.
The rear screen projection here a little dodgy.
It clearly shows it's gone a long way compared to earlier in the movies.
It's going to stand out a lot more when we eventually get the 4K version of this film.
I'm surprised they haven't done a 4K version of this already.
Well, streaming you have it. They haven't done it physically yet.
I love this little moment with freaking Boris shaking the computer and then screaming.
Like that's going to fix it.
Hey, you know,
Hey,
maybe
it ain't the Millennium Falcon, man. Giving it a whack ain't gonna get it to work.
Bypass the compressor. That's how you do that.
No. Empire. He just smacks it.
Yep.
Like this rear screen projection's pretty rough.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I forgot. This is this part's a little callback because when Natalia's on the floor and that freaking TVs are about to crush her.
Probably unintentional, but yes, it is.
Yeah.
I have been asked to rank villains' deaths of the series. This will have to be on here.
Again,
this will have to be there.
Again, and he's still alive. He managed to survive the fall. I mean, he's paralyzed.
Like, my goodness, he is on his deathbed, quite literally. There's no way he's surviving, even if Bond just leaves him to die there. And it's just an extra act of God. We're just gonna go ahead and slam him with his own base.
I'm unpopular opinion. I kind of wish Boris had escaped. I kind of wish he got away with things.
Well, how would that impact the film? What would that do in the movie?
It wouldn't have done it, but it would have been funny if he just keeps saying he's invincible. He just managed to somehow survive, and she's like, "All right, we'll give it to him for that." That's actually kind of funny.
I'm with the filmmakers on that one. Just the ironic payoff of that line is just too good.
True.
He needs his comeuppance.
Yep.
It's classic Shakespearean writing.
Because Shakespearean and Alan Cumming are two things I think of in the same sentence.
Well,
Oh, absolutely.
He has done Shakespeare at one point or another, I'm sure.
Oh no, I know he has, but like when I think of Alan Cumming, I still think of him as the MC in Cabaret, which is very flamboyant, just very fun role.
Oh,
sorry,
role.
Spy Kids here.
Also flamboyant role.
Son of the Mask, though. I feel bad.
That is the one film out of every film I've ever seen
Although I did
I
listen
do
to,
not believe that there's much merit to that film at all.
I listened to what Jamie Kennedy said about it years later and all that stuff, and just like when he did on his channel, he talked about the film a lot, and he was just like, we actually kind of had a slightly more different film, but then like executives came in and cut up a lot of stuff. It's like, I can actually see that. I can actually understand that.
Jamie Kennedy, I take everything with a grain of salt of his, because he also did a commentary for that film where he talked about how sick he was of Australian accents after shooting the film for the whole summer there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He even said that like
His book
part of the
critics, his like book critics or whatever, or
Heckler, he did a film on that.
book, I think.
But like he talks about like one of the problems with that film is he didn't get enough creative say on the project, and I'm like, I am sure that would have fixed everything in that film.
No, I'm going to kind of partially like you said, take it with a grain of salt, but I can kind of see how that he might be actually partially right. I'm not saying it's like it would have been better. I mean, it would have been truly great or anything, but I'm just like, it probably whatever the original implications were, it probably was going to be better than what we actually got, probably.
I'll talk about Son of the Mask at another point.
Yeah, we can talk about it after we're done for a few minutes.
Which we're also there now, because we get the last few moments of greatness before.
Hurry up, people! We need these on the set of Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
My question is, why do the helicopters? He's like, I brought this. The helicopters come right in from just out.
It's the Jurassic Park thing. There's supposed to be sound preceding it, but there's not, just so that we can have the reveal.
Oh shoot! I should have made a Jurassic Park reference than Apocalypse Now again.
Again, the Jurassic Park reference is is that a T-Rex is going to pop out and try to eat Pierce Brosnan.
Okay. I'm going to be, again, unpopular opinion. The Experience of Love, not the worst song I've ever heard.
I mean, that ever heard? Yeah,
yes,
like there's,
sure.
But in a Bond film,
to the
it's
memory
pretty bad.
Oh wait, right there. To the memory of Derek Meddings.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Powell, he was in a lot of stuff, wasn't he?
Yes.
He did.
And
Casino
I
Royale.
encourage you to go to Video Tasties. Gareth did an interview with Gary Powell, where they got to talk about some of that stuff. It's phenomenal.
He also did stunt. I remember this because I had the DVD for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But Spielberg was talking about like the guy that did the stunts in Casino Royale. I love them. Give me that guy. It's like, oh, it's Gary Powell. I didn't know.
Yeah, because Gary Powell is part of a family of stunt people, and they did a lot of movies back to back with each other, sometimes working on the same film. But like he was in Saving Private Ryan. I think he did a little bit in Zorro. He did a lot of films.
Question though, which Zorro are we talking about? Oh wait, Model Floor Supervisors. There's Mark Meddings. Was that Derek's son?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm talking. I think he did Legend of Zorro, not Mask of Zorro. I might be wrong on that. Martin Campbell did both of them.
Which one was the one with the exploding soap?
That's Legend of Zorro.
That's the only thing I remember. I saw that one in theaters with my cousins. I don't know why we went to that one.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters too. And somebody's asked me to do a Zorro retrospective, and I'm like, how? There's far too many versions to do that in a reasonable amount of time.
Well, at the very least, the two popular ones, obviously the Antonio Banderas ones. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah, but like I would want to go back and grab some of the earlier ones if I could, because people don't talk about those. They don't talk about Douglas Fairbanks. They don't talk about Tyrone Power and all of those others. But
who we do talk about? James Bond.
We do talk about James Bond. I talk about Bond a lot. And I am happy to do that.
I still do not get Stand By Your Man, performed by Minnie Driver.
Yep.
I still do not know how they got Bono on the Edge for this one. I don't know how the heck they got U2.
Well, they didn't, though, is the thing. They got them to assist, but they didn't get, U2 didn't do the song for the film.
I saw Todd in the Shadows talking about In Big Country, which was like, In Big Country kind of like should have been what U2 was.
Yeah.
Because they were similar bands.
So there you go. That's GoldenEye. the film that the most cynical of Bond fans would say is Brosnan's only good film, in which case I would punch you in the face, but not really, because I'm a guy that doesn't really strive for conflict. I try to see everybody's opinions on these things and try to appreciate them, and I do have a soft spot for all the Brosnan stuff. I mean, last night I replayed Agent Under Fire for the first time in a while, which I know it's not Brosnan doing it, but I count that as a Brosnan game, and I had the best time with it.
Although that's ironic, that one's jumping the shark pretty bad too.
Oh, it is. It is.
Fucking
okay.
clones.
So to close the public part of this stream out, I'm sure you and Paul and I will talk for a while afterwards. Okay, final thoughts on GoldenEye. It's always fun to talk about the film. It's always fun to analyze its relevance, which we didn't really do all that much during this. To just kind of have fun conversation going over it. But I will say that regardless of what you think about the film, when you take a step back, it is one of the most important Bond films to the lifeblood of the franchise. I promise you, the three of us here would not be as big of Bond fans without GoldenEye.
No.
Having it be accessible to us, and it was the gateway for us to get into some of the earlier films. My way of going through the franchise was a little different. I started with Die Another Day. Terrible idea, but that's what I had. But then I immediately went back and watched some Roger Moore stuff and Dalton stuff and Connery stuff. So GoldenEye wasn't even like my fifth or sixth film. It was one of the earlier ones, but like I had seen quite a few before then. So I was already a Bond fan. But because of the GoldenEye video game, which is inspired directly from this, that was my first introduction to anything James Bond. And it was a point of salvage for the franchise. Love it or hate it, it stands up there with Spy Who Loved Me, Casino Royale, and Goldfinger as like the seminal four most important turning points in the franchise, as far as the public is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other final thoughts, or?
No, truthfully, when it comes
Neil's
to GoldenEye, it's such an important film. It was the as we've said, and Neil's put in chat here, and a lot of us agree that the film was important for keeping the franchise alive. I think of all of the films that people go back to, I think Goldfinger certainly is that cornerstone film for people who are of an older generation. GoldenEye, similar name but different film, certainly has that staying power that a lot of the other films, older and newer, do not have. And it's not my favorite Brosnan film. It used to be my favorite Bond film, but I've gotten older and appreciate the other ones more. But it's still that seminal, important one to exist.
Mm-hmm. Ross, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, as Neil said, it saved the franchise because it definitely proved that Bond can continue existing past the Cold War and all that stuff, and essentially and also just the fact that they came out right out the gate because it was a 6-year hiatus and all that stuff between that and License to Kill. Remember, True Lies apparently was considered as like this. Was the idea of like, oh, this is the Bond killer, you know? It's just like now we're not going to need James Bond. Now we got Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in True Lies,
right?
Which is kind of a shame we didn't get another movie out of that because it's like True Lies was really good.
Yeah,
but GoldenEye is just one of those films that's just like that is probably the best place to start, I think, with people in terms of if you want to get them into the series. It's a pretty good starting point, I would think, in terms of like, okay, if it's someone that's especially younger, like around our age or younger, it's just like, okay, let's not show you the original, like the oldest one. Let's show you like the one that's like kind of like the one that kind of like you could kind of still redo it today, kind of. Like this is something you could remake today.
Yeah. I call it the first truly modern Bond film in that way. It's a blending of the old with the newer stuff. It's not exactly what Connery was doing at the beginning, but it's still in the same spirit. And my answer does shift depending on who I am introducing to the franchise, like what their sensibilities are with films. But generally, GoldenEye is also my pick. Not because it's my favorite film. It's not. But it is one that I go with. And as a point of pride with me, you know, the whole point of doing the individual Bond video reviews, the rankings and whatnot, is because I think people overlook this series so much. They think of it as just the action franchise, just the big one that everybody should talk about. And I'm like, no, there's more meat to this thing. There has to be. Otherwise, it would have died when Connery left. And GoldenEye was the one out of the early films that I saw that really opened my eyes to like, no, there's more here. And I will forever credit the film for doing that. All right. So we'll have that end the public portion of this live stream. Thank you guys for joining us. We had a good time with it. I'm sure we will do another one at some point, and it will probably not be Brosnan.
We're not doing another day?
We might do that one in Discord just because we can actually watch the film together and it'd be so much fun. But like, it might be a Connery one next because in the Discord we've done more. We've done Dalton. We've now done Brosnan here. It might be nice to go ahead and do a Connery one, but that won't be for a little while. I've got the secondary Bond women video that I'm working on right now, so I've got quite a bit on my plate. But we will get to that at some point, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, so thanks everybody, and have a swell day.